Ah, the power of hype compels you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome all. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you folks are doing okay. I hope that everyone's able to see this. I just saw what Echo said about Twitch going crazy and all, and I don't know if that's true or if you can see me or hear me or all that stuff. Can people hear me? Can you hear me? Donnie, can you hear me? I need to know whether people can hear me in chat. I hope they can. Can you? Check one, check two. I hear you. I saw the vid. Okay, good. Thank God someone can hear. Okay, good people can hear me. That's good. I'm glad. They can hear. All right, good. That's awesome. Welcome, everybody, to episode 252 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Eleron. This is the show that we do here on Tuesdays from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern, focusing on story and narrative in games. I apologize. We're getting a little bit started a little bit late. I was having some tech issues with my microphone, which has been giving me a hard time. But I think I've got it working. It's kind of important to hear the DM on occasion. That might be valuable. No, Arv, we can't. Yeah, cute, Iscariot, thanks. You can't see any of Twitch's UI. Oh, geez. I don't know about that. I'm just, here streaming away on my channel. Well, I'm glad that we're here. I'm glad the folks that are in here in chat, like little refugees huddled in our corner of the internet here. I'm glad that we're here, digital refugees. I'm glad that we're here, and that you're here for day... I don't remember what episode this is of, but it is a later episode of D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder with the crew. And you're getting a lot of D&D because we're playing this today, we're playing this next Tuesday, and then we have a special announcement that I'm going to be making about something too. And so that's going to be exciting. Thank you for resubscribing nonstop, and I'm sorry that your notice got eaten. Because it didn't pop up here on my side either, so I'm sorry. I don't know what the deal is with that. But in any case, it is great to have everybody here. Before we go any further, just a reminder about ways to support us. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow the channel here on GOG. Please make sure to check out as well the subscription. If you subscribe to us here on GOG, you usually can get those awesome sub badges and custom emotes and all that good stuff. Plus, it supports the streamers here, so we really do appreciate it, like Nonstop just did. And last but certainly not least, of course, please make sure to click through and check out all the individual streamers as well, because that really helps, because we all have our own individual subsystems and Patreons and things like that also. And the reason that especially matters is because... he said, clicking this on, it allows us to do things like put things back into the channel. Like, for example, I was showing this off before to the players. Arv with shadows. Arv without shadows. Arv with shadows. Arv without shadows. Arv with too much light. Ah! Arv with less light. So there we go. I have a light panel, everyone. I'm very excited about it. I have a light panel. It is a pixel light panel controlled by a remote control. And so now I actually don't have this thing blocking off shadows so that I'm half, I guess it sort of takes, I guess it maybe takes away the mystery. All of a sudden you're like, oh, that's Arv. Oh, we never really knew. But in any case, it is good to see all of you and in full light to the degree we have. And we also have a big announcement that I'm going to make, but I'm going to do that. Yeah, I know. Be careful my face doesn't turn orange. It's a good point, Ratara. Unlike certain public figures, I don't have to use orange makeup. Sips tea. But anyway, yeah, that's me. Oh, I always thought, oh, hell, I thought that was Pyron the whole time. But it is me. C'est moi. And I hope everyone is doing well and looking forward to the session. As I say, this week and next week will both be D&D. I do want to mention, just as a heads up, that the last few streams in the month of December are going to be a little up in the air for me because my family is looking to move. At least that's the plan. Excuse me. The plan is that we're going to be moving, and so we're not 100% sure what the schedule is going to look like in terms of when I'm going to be out of the house and in the house and all that good stuff. For right now, I'm still tentatively scheduled to be playing Vaporum Lockdown at those times, but still not 100% certain, so I'm not sure. That still is a little bit up in the air, so you will have to bear with me as far as that is concerned. But otherwise, we are playing some D&D for you now, and with that said, I'm going to bring them in before I announce the big announcement. So I'm going to unmute myself so they know that we are ready to go, and apologize as always for interrupting them potentially. And then I'm going to go over to reveal the not quite full yet crew, but at least 3/4 of the crew. 1/4 is, of course, Peripheral Mike, previously known as Screaming Joypad. Mike will be joining us, but he's going to be a little bit late, so he should be here probably about 15 minutes-ish, I think is what he said, so he will join us in a little bit. But in the meantime, we have the rest of our players, and before I introduce them, I do want to make one big announcement that I've been talking about here, and that I've been talking about before. We just got clearance on this, and I'm very excited about it. And in fact, I realized that I should actually pop up a little just quick graphic about this, just showing this quickly. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Good, lovely. Now just do this. Look at that. No, that's not what I want. Nope, nope, nope. Fail. Incorrect. That's not what I wanted. I want this thing right here. I am a pro streamer. I know how to do this super well. Don't try this at home, chat, at all. That would be a bad idea. Okay, no, that's not it either. Okay, I'm just going to put this on Windows. All right, you know what? I'm going to put this on Windows. It's all gone to hell. All of it sucks. So this is, okay, there we go. Creating an entire, yes, blah, 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 blah. And we've got, yes, accept all, whatever. And drive through RPG. Okay, we're going to put this on drive through RPG. Because that way, I know that it's there, and that way we'll be able to find it. There we go. Yes, there is the image that I was looking for. And I'm going to move this over here so that chat can see it. At this point, I've built it up to such an incredible degree that chat's going to be like, what? What are you showing us? It's going to be super great. Okay, there we go. There's that, and I'm going to show you, chat. I am very pleased to announce that, and I hope Pyron won't laugh mercilessly at me at my pronunciation of this. But the company, Pegasus Spiele, which I hope I pronounced vaguely correctly. Okay, Pegasus Spiele is a German company that produces a lot of the current Talisman board game products. Now, you may remember that Darksaber and myself played Talisman, and now Pyron Jade has become addicted to it and loves this game as well. And I know that Dango played this with us. I think Lovelust played this with us too. So we have a lot of the GOG streamers who were into Talisman because it is the greatest of all board games. And we've been playing it a lot. This is from Nomad Games. But the board game side of things is being handled by Pegasus Spiele, which used to be under Fantasy Flight's aegis. And as a consequence of this, they have just released a tabletop role-playing game version called Talisman Adventures. And I am proud to announce that Pegasus Spiele has agreed to sponsor me in a campaign being run of Talisman Adventures. And the players who will be playing this will be playing at least the opening session, hopefully more depending on how it all goes, everyone show up, but at least the opening session, January. So in January, on this very channel, in this very show, you will be watching these fine players below me, Pyron Jade, Darksaber 2K, currently player not available, but usually Peripheral Mike, and Tasty Chai in Talisman. So you will get a chance. If you've ever thought to yourself, wow, you know, the ghoul is great in a board game, but what is the ghoul like in roleplay version? You'll get a chance to see that. If you've ever thought to yourself, what would it be like to see GOG stream team leader Pyron Jade as, for example, a cleric that shoots people with fireballs? No, you already get that. But you know what I'm saying? If you were to do any of this, you will now get the chance to have this happening. So I am very excited. I want to thank Pegasus Spiele for agreeing to sponsor the campaign. I'm excited about that. There will be giveaways from Pegasus, by the way, of this book you're looking at. There will be PDF copies that I have been authorized to give away during that session. And there will also be on GOG. Now, as far as what GOG is promoting, no one has any idea about any of that. Just the fact that it's showing up on GOG is the thing that I'm really excited about. So I also want to thank GOG.com for agreeing to let us play this on the channel. And I want to thank Pyron Jade for helping spearhead that push to make that happen with her mighty power of tact, diplomacy, skill, and charm. We managed to get this through. But no, in all seriousness, I'm super excited about it, as you can tell, which is why I've been raving about it. This is literally like my two favorite games in the world are Dungeons & Dragons and Talisman. So the fact that I'm getting to combine those a little bit in some capacity is cool. This is a D6 system, by the way. It is not a D20 system. It's not based on 5e. It's a different system, and I cannot wait to share it with the players and with all of you. And we're going to be doing a little mini campaign of this. We only know for sure that the first session will happen on GOG. We don't know yet if the other sessions will. I hope so, but there's no guarantee. But they will definitely happen somewhere, whether it's on here or whether it's on my own channel. But it will begin on GOG. Talisman Adventures Fantasy Role-Playing Game Core Rulebook. So thank you to Pegasus Spiele and thank you to GOG. And yeah, I'm super excited about it. That is the big announcement coming soon to a channel near you. So it's going to be great. But today we have got D&D with Storm King's Thunder because we have just resurrected a certain giant queen, and we have to talk to her. And to do that, we have to introduce our players. So I will start by, again, thanking Pyron Jade publicly for her help with this, and by asking, Pyron, how are you feeling and doing and all that kind of good stuff, and who are you playing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit under the weather today, but it's still fine. And yes, I'm also very excited for looking forward to Talisman. I've played a few D6 systems in the past, so it's always a really nice change of pace, and I think we're gonna have a blast. Today, I'm playing Greta, not a necromancer Goldenfire, who just resurrected, not a zombie, but a living giant queen.
Totally living. Yeah.
Who also uses tact and diplomacy and occasionally a fireball. So everything will work out just fine.
Yes, everything will be fine. And yes, the fact that this starts actually in the crypt of where the queen's body had previously been found in no way suggests any necromantic aspects at all. Like, it's not, no, it's just totally fine. It's fine. Thank you again, Pyron. Always a pleasure. Also, always a pleasure to have Darksaber 2K, who I will again thank publicly for being the awesome person who handles Dashboard and Moobot for me on these days so I can prep this other stuff, especially when I was dealing with this tech nightmare. So thank you, Saber, for that. Also, I learned today, I was today years old when I heard about One Punch.
No, One Piece.
One Piece.
One Punch is a different thing.
One Piece. This is my knowledge of anime. I don't know anime. I know Princess Mononoke, and I know Last Airbender, which isn't even an anime, and I know Voltron. Like, I mean, I don't know anime very much. I know Legend of the Overfiend, and let me tell you, that's the reason I don't know anime. I saw that first. Don't see Legend of the Overfiend first. It is not safe for work or anything else. Anyway, so yeah, so I learned about that, and now I know about these things. So, how are you, Saber? Thank you for educating me on these things. Also, Pyron, I think, told me that there was an elk. What about an elk? There's a mutated
Tony Chopper, the ship's doctor, who is an elk that turns into a person that turns into a big muscle person elk.
Yes. I know these things now. And
he's brought in early too.
Oh my God. Anyway, it's good. A pleasure to see you. How you doing, Saber? How's life with you and who you're playing?
I'm very, very good. Still pretty excited about the Arkham games coming to GOG over the last weekend. That was a lot of fun to play that and see everyone else checking them out. Because yeah, Arkham games, just some of my absolute favorites. And finished Ghostbusters. Speaking of other great media adaptations on my own channel yesterday, and I'm sure I'll be DMCA to death for that within the week.
We look forward to watching the legal shenanigans take place.
Yes. I'm back as a Cell Sigmauer, who is not entirely convinced about the non-necromancy aspects of what's occurred here. Methinks Greta protests too much.
Yeah, I note that you're near the door in this situation, like kind of like
I'm always near the door.
You know, just like with your back to the door. It'll be fine. But yes, I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing how Cell Sigmauer handles things today. It will be awesome. Also, I should say thank you to Nonstop. We saw your resub this time. 48 months. Congratulations. Nice. You've almost reached a year. Good job, Nonstop. No, I'm kidding. The 4-year sub, man, that is no joke. And you love Chopper. All right. Well, see, I don't know these things. I now I have more information that I did not know before. I've seen like 2 episodes of Cowboy Bebop and I was like, eh. And I saw like Mononoke really disturbed me. I find anime really disturbing. I think that's the problem. I keep watching it and being disturbed by it. So I need to broaden my perspective, obviously.
Anime is a big minefield where people go, oh, you should check this out. Oh, maybe that wasn't the best thing to start you on.
Yeah,
you repeat that 10 times and then you've just got trauma.
Yeah, I don't, right, exactly. I don't want anything. I hate creepy. Ugh.
First anime I watched was Vampire Hunter D. It took a long time to get over that.
Right. This is what happened with me with Legend of the Overfiend. I'm telling you, Legend of the Overfiend is evil, especially when I was like, 15 when I saw it? Like, ugh. Anyway, I have to watch more than first 3 episodes of an anime. But Dragon Spear, Mandalorian was good in episode 1. Why do I need to watch 3 episodes of something before it gets good? Anyway, But regardless, pleasure to have Saber with us. Also a pleasure to have Chai with us, who, and I quote from chat, "My baby is having a meltdown," Chai's baby, "so I'm going to attempt nap time for the, in all caps, third time today. So my intro is thus. Hi, I'm Chai. I'm playing River, a silver dragonborn who might try to eat the plot. Winky face, be right back." So there we go. That is of course, Tasty Chai. And the last person, of course, is Peripheral Mike, also known as Screaming Joypad, who will be joining us shortly. So that's the deal with that. So I don't know whether we should, I mean, I guess we should start the recap for you folks quickly, I guess. We'll just have to fill Chai in when she gets back to us. But here's what happened. Let me fire up some music here as we are here in the Temple of the Eye. There we go. There's that. Let me get me some bubbling pools. There's that. Lovely. And who do I not have? Oh, good, I do. Excellent. There's Temple of the Eye. Okay, let me know if that music is too loud, chat. So here's what happened in our last session. The party, which, as all of you who have been following this, and I know there are many of you following this religiously would know, the party has been doing everything it can to discover what is going on with the giants, why the giants have suddenly lost their minds and are ravaging across the Sword Coast, razing towns to the ground, attacking travelers, doing things that giants normally wouldn't do. And what they've discovered is that the reason is the breaking of a thing called the Ordning, which is basically the hierarchy of the giants, ruled over by King Hecaton, who is himself a storm giant. However, King Hecaton has disappeared and left things in the hands of his daughter Nerissa, apparently left things in the hands of his daughter Nerissa, who is managing things right now, although not necessarily with the support of her two sisters, her older sisters, who feel that the ordning should have been led to them, that basically they should have been the ones in charge. And so, since Hecaton has disappeared and there is no knowledge of what happened to him, the party has tried to find out more details about what happened to King Hecaton and who was responsible. They have managed to go so far as to track down all the information that they could about one thing that was found basically at the scene of the crime. And by this I mean that the queen, who I believe her name is Nyx, although I'm pulling up these details right now, the queen was killed, was murdered,
Neri,
and there was a...
Neri.
Oh, Neri is the queen. Thank you very much.
I remember the name.
That is, thank you. I'm glad that you remembered her name. Yeah, that actually helps. Yes, Queen Neri. You have no idea how many names I have flying around here all the time. So, Queen Neri, who was murdered by someone, it was unclear as to who, and the only clue was the existence of a golden goose coin, which looks like that, which the party used to track down this information to the city of Yartar, and ultimately this ship, this casino ship called the Grand Dame. The party infiltrated the ship using all stealth skill and occasional little bit of charm and maybe even a fireball, and not at all. And the party was able to make its way into and discover Casper Dryland, the person who ran the ship. Everything went well until Dryland died after giving them information about the fact that indeed King Hecaton had been kidnapped and was to be found on this ship known somewhere as the Morkoth. There wasn't any detail, though, as to what this was or what that meant. They don't know where this ship is. They just know that it is somewhere in the trackless sea, and that the people who wanted this to happen, who wanted the king to be over there, that there may or may not have been someone who was behind the scenes involved with this. And the party has a theory as to who might be responsible for this. Their theory was that a blue dragon, better known as, they think, Imerith, has disguised herself as a giant to allow herself to infiltrate the court, and so the party now thinks that Imerith may be responsible for having done this in the first place. That is yet to be determined, but in the meantime, the party knew that it had to not only gather this information, but to report it back to Nerissa and to the rest of the people in Maelstrom, which is the Storm Giant's fortress many, many miles below the sea. And so the party went I'm really trying to resist. Under the sea. The party went under the sea and went back to the room where they found Narissa. And they actually brought Narissa down to the crypt because they decided that it was important for Narissa to have an opportunity to see if her mother could be resurrected. And fortunately, Greta, thanks to her work with the church back in, I believe it was not Waterdeep, or maybe Neverwinter, where the party was dealing with, basically, I don't recall which one, but in any case, dealing with a cathedral that was running out of money and needed rent and all this other stuff, managed to do this, and so she ended up getting a scroll of resurrection and used it on the queen, and the queen now has been brought back. And just as we ended our last session here, the mother here, actually not Narissa, Sarissa is the daughter that we were looking at, they have just resurrected the queen. The queen has sat up, looked around her. Sarissa, with tears streaming down her face, says, Mother, what has happened? Says, Mother, you've returned. The mother wakes and says, my child, what has happened? And it is at that moment that I'm going to bring things back to the present time. And so, let me go over to, give me 1 second, let me get over to my notes where I can have all the information about all of this. Right. I know about that.
Somebody in chat mentioned an anime from Studio Ghibli that is called Pompoko and is about the Japanese raccoons called Tanuki.
Oh.
Do not watch that one as an introduction to anime.
Don't watch that one?
No.
Okay.
Watch that after you've watched plenty and plenty of anime.
I see. Okay.
It's
now I know.
about raccoons and their magic ball sacks.
Okay. Okay, good. All right.
I think I used the right word, but Saber is not sure.
I think now
I
that
may be googling it.
I may be googling it to figure all of this out. Okay. All right, good. I have that information that I need. One more note, and I'll be with you. My apologies, but
Why do people like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
It's Pompoko. There are trailers, Saber.
Okay. Right. Okay, good. Right. Okay. So we are now good to go. So I'm going to think of anime that I might specifically like. Okay, we'll see. I mean, I'll tell you the stuff that came close enough that I did like was if you hit me with some Voltron, which I know is not an anime, but I think has anime roots. Voltron I dig. I didn't love Princess Mononoke. I found her really disturbing. I know Last Airbender is not anime, but I continue not to really... My daughter was really into it, and I continue not to understand why. Like, I've watched like probably 5 or 6 episodes, and I keep being like, it's a cartoon. Like, it's fine. I just don't see why everyone's like, it's amazing. But maybe I need to stick with it for longer, so we'll see.
Try Haikyuu. It's an anime about volleyball that's really positive and shows Japanese high school life, which is it's really well done.
If it's upbeat and positive and doesn't end up with them turning into a demon and killing people.
It's so damn positive. It's like the feel good anime. It's the feel good anime.
I saw yesterday there was an opening. I was watching someone on Twitch playing Tales of Berseria. And I got to this horrific section. I'm like, what is going on? Like, children sacrifice, big demon hand, death thing. I'm like, what? So, that's what anime feels like too much to me. So I want nice and wholesome and charming. Anyway.
Watch Haikyuu. It's just seriously, you have a bad day in 2020, sit down, watch Haikyuu.
Okay.
It's so nice.
Okay, I like it. I'm going. I will actually make a note about that. It'll be great. I need to lose 20 IQ points and it'll be great. Wow,
no.
Norway. Shots fired. My goodness. Anyway, all right, let's get moving here. So, so you have just, as I said, you've just heard this thing about my child, what has happened. And Sarissa goes over to Neri and says, Mother, Mother, I thought you were lost. And Sarissa, strokes her mother's hair, and Neri looks over and embraces her child and says, I don't remember much. Just the came and then the blades and darkness and where am I? Was I dead? And Sarissa nods and she says, you have this one to thank, Mother. And she indicates you, Greta. And Neri looks at you and sort of eyes wide and just sort of as if like, still kind of out of it.
I think we should maybe give you some space. Greta is very obviously uncomfortable because this seems like a family reunion after somebody was not thought dead, but actually be dead. And so she's like, well, maybe we should give you all some space.
And she says, perhaps, but where's Hecaton? And there's sort of an uncomfortable, like everyone in the chamber kind of like looks at each other. And Sarissa says, there is much to discuss, Mother. Yes. We must return. Can you stand? And Sarissa kind of, Neri kind of, puts her legs down carefully, kind of tests that she can stand up, and she does. She's an imposing looking giantess, by the way, which you might have been able to guess, but she looks like there's not a whole lot that could put this one down, at least not in this way. And she stands up and then looks back at the sarcophagus that she just stepped out of and kind of shudders, and she says, have them put the cover back on. I would prefer not to see the inside of that. Not for a long time again. And so several guards hurry over. And then Neri says, but where is Imrith? And it suddenly occurs to you that Imrith is nowhere in this chamber. And Neri kind of looks around. What? Where is she? Where is Imrith? And the guards are like, I don't know. Go find her. And so a couple of guards like bustle out of the room. Sarissa turns back to you, the party, and sort of, I do not like that. Accompany me, please, back to the throne room. We have much to discuss. I thought you were watching her. Yeah, exactly. Damn it. Okay. So the party, assuming you will you all make your way back to the...
We're not gonna, like the giants walking out of the damned crypt, we're not gonna stay in here. Like, we have further necromancy to do. No, we will follow them out, please.
I had this image of you just looking back, as like Celsig looking back longingly at the many rich, tapestries and all that kind of stuff. But no, you understand that there's a...
Time and a place, I do okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to bring all of you folks back up to... I'm going to ask you all to move yourself here. Line must be drawn here. And I'm going to move the giants while that happens.
Somebody needs to move Uraj, who is currently a bit stunned by all of the things going on.
That's true. Who is
He's
actually...
just waiting for the, brain feasting to start.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't move him, so someone else has to.
I have moved
He's
him
a
over.
big guy.
Okay, got it.
He's a half-orc. He's really difficult to move.
he doesn't move unless he wants you to move him.
Exactly.
I know, but I'm really tall, so I thought if anyone could.
Exactly.
You should use your tail as like a lever and like...
You could
Exactly,
use
just
your
drop
breath and freeze the ground and just slide him along.
That's exactly right. Okay, so, all right, so, and there we go. I was like, where are all these people? Okay, you are going to be there. Okay, so the uncle returns to his place to the left of Nerissa. and Sarissa. Why do I keep calling her Nerissa? Sarissa. And Neri sits down in what you see actually seems to be what actually seems to be the throne room. The throne that she's sitting in, the chair that she's sitting in, is the chair that Imrith previously occupied. And so Neri sits down in that chair for whatever that's worth. And then Neri, Sarissa looks at you and says, "Before we begin, perhaps all of you could quickly explain. There is too much, perhaps, but perhaps just the basic details of why you are here. I want my mother to be able to hear this from you directly. She, like I, always loved the little people, and I would hate for her to have a misunderstanding, even now." And she kind of looks over, and her mother, Neri, seems to be kind of stabilizing a bit and kind of, getting used to drawing breath again and all that. And sort of settles back and looks to see what you're all going to say. So, again, you don't have to go, extensively, but are there any, highlights that you particularly want the Queen to hear? Not Sarissa, but Neri.
So, Queen Neri, King Hekaton has disappeared, and the giant folks wreak havoc on Earth. And we were just trying to stop it, and in the end, this is where we are. We think that your your counselor Imrith might actually be a blue dragon and have something to do with this whole conspiracy. We also think that King Hekaton is being held on a large boat somewhere, and we would still like to rescue him and then hopefully put all of this, to put it to rest would be really bad to say now, to resolve this situation.
And so Neri kind of nods slowly, and then she says, "So my husband has been taken somewhere. This ship, you said?"
We assume so. That is the most recent information we got from somebody who says they are part of the order. What was the order? The Order of the Kraken, but who very suddenly then died after giving us this information, possibly being killed by his pet octopus.
And there's a pause here, and then both the uncle, Neri's uncle, Sarissa's uncle, and Sarissa herself looks over at Neri, and Neri sort of sighs heavily and looks back, and Sarissa turns to you and says, "When my father went missing, the rumor spread that those responsible were the Lord's Alliance." Now, you all know, having lived in the Sword Coast, that the Lord's Alliance is basically a confederacy of cities and settlements that is populated by small folk and scattered throughout the north. Neverwinter is in the Lord's Alliance, for example, and so is Waterdeep, and so are many other cities. And so the Lord's Alliance basically would have meant that humanoids were involved, and certainly little people, in quotes, were the ones involved. And so she says this and says, "Apparently that is wrong. We were misled. Did you say the Order of the Kraken?"
Yes.
And she she looks over at her mother, and her mother, "Or the Kraken Society, perhaps?"
Yes. It was something Kraken.
A kraken does have many tentacles.
And
That as well.
And they look at each other and are about to respond when suddenly Urash comes flying into the room at top speed. Running into the room.
Sweater.
Releasing the Kraken. I'm getting feedback from you, Mike.
Hi everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Okay. That's better. That's okay. No problem. You were here. I'm going to just capture
And with most of your fingers.
Mike in his awesome Christmas sweater. I'm going to do that in just a moment. I will say as I do that I have already announced that it is official and that we are going to be playing a Talisman little mini campaign with the game Pegasus Spiele, produced by Pegasus Spiele, and it will be on GOG for at least a single month anyway. It'll be in January, which is super exciting. And and there will be giveaways from Pegasus as well, like books and such. So I'm very grateful to GOG and very grateful to all of you for agreeing to do it. And it's going to be awesome sauce and exciting and all that kind of good stuff. So I have already announced that. And I guess as I capture your video, Mike, is there anything you wanted to say about who you are and, you know, why people should care very much about your Christmas sweater, which I'm going to show in just a moment?
Why, thank you all. I thought you would never ask. So I'm doing really well as per normal. The introductions, I'm doing really well. My name's Mike, also known as Peripheral Mike on the social medias. I don't stream as much as I used to, but that may change in the coming future. Who knows? I'm doing well. I'm playing a Urash, the half-orc barbarian and devout follower of Tempest, who has recently been. Yeah, he's had some troubled times, but he's recently kind of had a bit of a soul cleansing. He's on a bit of a soul searching journey, and he's got himself a funky new axe and also his little tribe as well, which he's very thankful for, and they have a big place in his heart. And now he's just basically living life trying not to get killed, which is kind of what we're all doing right now, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely very excited. Also, big apologies for being late. That was kind of mostly out of my control. But yeah, so I hope that Urash didn't rage or like fall off of anything tall while I was away.
Well, I mean, you know, it was mostly fine. There was the problem of you being pushed off a limitless cliff by Celsig, but I'm sure that it was just an accident and that you'll be fine when and if you hit the bottom. So
if it's limitless, then I'm not going to incur any damage then, right?
Right, exactly. You'll just be screaming literally into the void forever. Yeah. Like that'll be all it is.
Sorry, no, screaming angrily into the void.
That's right.
Very angry into the void for the rest of eternity.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not dead. It's true, Miranda. He's not dead. So there is that. No, but it's always a pleasure to have Mike with us. And yes, Mike, I'm excited to have you as part of the Talisman little mini campaign too.
I know nothing about Talisman. Well, I do know now, but I knew nothing about Talisman. So I'm just like, you said it on the Discord, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm game.
Taking your first step into a larger world. Say again, Saber?
So remind us to get him into a board game session.
Yeah,
sometime.
We got to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that first. Yes. Mike, you're coming in a little bit soft for me.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
A little
Bear
bit.
with me.
Mike, move the mic.
There you go. Well, it's like right next to my head, so I'll just turn the gain up very slightly. How's that? Is that doing better?
That is better. You could come up even a bit more.
Bit more? Ooh, exciting. I don't think I've ever been this high.
Okay, too much. Good. I raged the void rages back. Yes. Lovely. So, yeah, thank you, Mike. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to have you as part of this with Urash. So, basically all that's happened so far, Mike, is that first of all, that I've figured out whose name belongs to which. So that Queen Neri has spoken to Sarissa. You may remember that Queen Neri was resurrected by your group in our last session, that she has risen from her grave, quite literally, and has departed and returned to the throne room. The bit of information you need to know is that Imrith has disappeared. And that they are now basically explaining that the rumor that had been sent out there. Thank you so much for the sub to Pyron Jade. Oh wait, that's because Echo Alpha gifted a tier 1 sub to Pyron Jade. Pyron Jade has been subscribed to GOG.com by Echo. The power of Echo remains. Thank you, Echo. Thank you very much, Echo. I appreciate that. So yeah. So the thing you need to know is that she's disappeared, gone up to the throne room, and they were explaining that the rumor, which they don't really know who spread this rumor, but the rumor was that Queen Neri had been assassinated by people from the Lord's Alliance, which, as you may know from another world, but even in this world would know, Urash, that this is a loose confederacy of cities and villages and towns all across the Sword Coast. Neverwinter is a part of it, Waterdeep is a part of it, and it's strictly, little people stuff. Humanoid, orc, dwarf, elf, gnome, dragonborn, human, but there's no, giants are not in it, so it seemed like a logical target, and it also turns out to have been wrong. that is not actually who did this, that the one who was responsible, apparently, according to your information that you had received, was from this Order of the Kraken, or the Kraken Society. And just as you arrived storming into the room, raging into the room, let it be said, just as you arrived raging into the room, the Sarissa was about to say the following, which is, I have not heard of this Kraken Society. I don't know exactly what this is. And so she says that, and then there is a pause, and Uthor, the uncle, speaks, and he doesn't speak much, and he says, I do. And everyone is like, it's said that they are mostly legend. It is a society of worshippers, of creatures that stir within the deep. We have had dealings with the Kraken before. A mighty beast, mighty enough to strangle, crush, execute many of us with its tentacles. This society worships this thing as a god, and they had promised that they might someday bring it back to the surface. I only know any of this myself because I gathered some information. There have been attacks before. And at this, everybody, actually, roll an insight check for me, please, everyone. Because I want to see if you note reactions on the part of everybody.
They have faces.
Sounds exciting. I note that they are looking at the speaker.
That probably means something.
Let's see.
These humans are really big.
Yeah, why is that not popping up?
I
Right.
have a +6 and I did a critical fail.
There we go. So the only so basically
Very obviously he's part of the Kraken Society.
yeah. So Selsig or Ashingred are like the only one who knows immediately, who sees it, River, is River, because you see everything. I guess everyone else like built it all together into you, so you could be the one. But you get it.
How does this work exactly, River? Let's just break this down a second.
Let's just figure this out.
I have the attention span of a gerbil. That's why.
So, well, a very alert gerbil this time.
Yes.
Because you notice that when he say it says there have been attacks before, you notice that Sarissa and Neri both look shocked. In particular, Sarissa, who just is like no one has ever told her, and she kind of stares at her uncle. And there's a pause, and then the uncle says, there are threats in this court, child. I did not want to tell you of all of them. I tried to keep as many of them away as I could. Your sisters are not necessarily in favor of this current arrangement. You know that. And she says, do you mean my sisters arranged this? No, I doubt it. I have my own concerns about them, but I don't think they would involve themselves with this. But there are many in this kingdom who are not comfortable with your rule. It is not because of you. It is because they have not had any other ruler but Hecaton for as long as many of them can remember. They respected your father. They do not yet know whether to respect you. So I preserved some of this knowledge from you. There were several assassins that were sent. Ones who came to try to eliminate me. And there's a sort of pause, and then they were dealt with. I was trying to find out more about them without involving you. And so Sarissa, and I'm going to keep this going with River because her check was so good. Sarissa now looks, maybe even the rest of you, even though you just think of them as having faces, barely, I imagine even the rest of you can pick this up, because she looks pissed. And she looks at her uncle and says, if you thought that I was not fit to understand the threats against my rule, uncle, then you thought that I was not fit to rule. And you should have removed me from the throne if that was the case. And she stares at him, and he kind of...
I sidle behind Urash at that point.
Yeah, they look like
just
really angry.
Oh snap!
In fact, River, behind you, you can feel one of the hill giant guards maybe even is like, "Rrr," like takes a step back on the, you know, on the steps.
Oh,
and
no.
and so he says, "There are politics even within Maelstrom, child. I am not a child anymore, uncle. I am the ruler of this land until my father returns. I must know what faces me." And he sort of nods, abashed. And she turns back to you, the party, and says, "It appears I have been betrayed, whether for well-meaning reasons or not." And she kind of stares another dagger at her uncle, who isn't looking at her now. And she says, "This is a grave problem. We must find Imrith. Have any and like she, you know, yells again. There is no response yet. One of the hill giant guards looks uncomfortable, but like there's already guards that have been sent out, so they're kind of like, you know, like they don't know whether to leave or not. So she...
Why
go
do
ahead.
we need to find Imrith?
I must interrogate her myself. While she is not here, you tell me. And she points to you, Greta, and she says, "One of you then must tell me. Do you know why Imrith would betray us this way? What is in it for her? Do you know any of this?"
We're not sure yet, but there must be somebody who profits from the ordering being destroyed. Maybe there are some giants who would like to replace the storm giants as the top of the food chain. Maybe there is some treasure to be had. There must be something that somebody gains from this, except for the destruction. Except for the destruction of the little folks, which might just be an additional thing.
I know
Has tried to be as constructive as possible since we arrived the first time.
And there's sort of a long pause, and then Sarissa says, "Is it profit? Yes, but if it's not the belief has always been that the little folk were the threat. My mother and I did not believe so. We have always respected the little folk, believed that conflict with them has brought us nothing but misery. My father was not sure. Imrith disagreed." And at this, one of the giants, one of the storm giant guards comes in, and he comes forward and then bows his head and says, "My queen, Imrith has left. She is not in her quarters. She cannot be found here. Also, one of our teleportation conches is missing." And so Neri kind of slumps back, and Sarissa, you can see her, this is the last thing I'll give you, River, but just still as part of your insight, you can see her hands like just white knuckling it around her scepter, you know what I mean? Just like, you know. And then she says, "I have been betrayed. What will we do? Who is Imrith then?"
Maybe it has something to do with that blue dragon that attacked us.
Is it possible she is a dragon?
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but
You think Imra's been following us this whole time?
hey, I know very little about dragons, but I know they have a very long memory, and they live like Urash starts counting his fingers.
But
Forever.
It just has been a few
Really?
months.
They live forever. I don't know. I looked at the giants. I'm like, have you annoyed any dragons recently?
We have.
Wow, recently being a relative term.
And there's sort of they sort of look at each other, and then there are occasional battles between our kind and theirs, but there's been nothing specific that I can remember. That dragons have been much less of a threat for the last, since 10 years ago or so, with the fall of the Dragon Queen Tiamat. I don't know in the body of adventurers that heroically rescued them, with many heroes involved. No. There's fan service, no need for those Easter eggs. And says, But why would they work with the Kraken Society if they are a secret society? Why would a dragon work with... She kind of trails off and looks at all of you.
Well, the thing about secret societies is they're very good at working in secret, which is very good if you need secrets kept. What if a dragon was to gain influence over the Ordning?
And Uther says, that would not happen. We would find out. She would have revealed herself eventually. And Sarissa and Neri, by the way, do not look sure about that at all. But Uther's kind of like...
You say eventually. How much damage can be done by eventually?
And so Uther opens his mouth and then sort of closes it again. And Sarissa says, a great deal of damage can be done by a single determined autocrat. We have seen this happen before in history. Looks directly at the camera, breaks the fourth wall for a second, and then returns. More importantly, if she was able to infiltrate us, who knows how far this goes? This Kraken Society. How did you find out this information? Greta, you said you discovered this information from someone who?
While we were looking for the people who assassinated you, Queen Neri, we came aboard an individual called Lord Dryland, and we interrogated him, and he wasn't the bravest person possible. And he gave us the information, and as soon as he had done, he died. Just like that. And seriously, we did not. He was just like, dead.
So there...
Because even I find that suspicious, and I was there.
So,
This is what happened.
so Uther leans forward on his chair and he says, when you say he died, what do you mean? What exactly happened to him?
He screamed, and I think he held his head. What did he scream? Does anybody remember?
It was something
Maybe it
about
was
his it was something along the lines of "arg my head."
Yeah.
It was freedom! No, I just... yeah, so so Uther sort of sinks back in his chair, and Sarissa says, Uncle, if you know anything else about this, you must tell me now. And Uther nods slowly, and he says, when the assassination attempt came, several of the informants that my men captured, before they could confess to their crimes, died in the same way, clutching their heads. One of my men said it was from an enormously powerful blast of psychic energy. Psychic energy which could be managed by very few, except perhaps a kraken. And a heavy silence descends upon the room.
Do the storm giants have historical conflict with a kraken?
Only in legend. It is said that we defeated a kraken in them before, but there are not more than one or two of these beasts that live. They are so enormous and so varied in myth and legend. Some call them beasts of the sea. Some call them leviathans. When ships disappear when trawling the trackless seas, the sailors say, it is the will of the kraken that brought them down below. We may have defeated them, but krakens are enormously powerful. Even with all our combined strength, fighting one would be difficult.
Oh. If the Kraken Society would like to gain more power on land, would it make sense for them to get rid of the giants first? Like, would the giants even intervene?
We would intervene if there was a threat to the civilized people of the Sword Coast. For we, too, are part of their destiny. In the past, we did not always believe this, but it is true. And that's coming, by the way, I should have said that's coming from Sarissa. And Sarissa says, but now, what can we do if we are this divided? Somehow we must take control again. And Uther says, that will not happen so long as your father is still missing and his fate unaccounted for. And she nods. It also will not happen while Imrith lives. She looks back at you. We have already asked so much of you. But if we are to attend to what we must, I must gather up information and head off a civil war within this giant society. If I do that, I cannot also be attending to my father. I want to go rescue him. But if I do that, my father would be displeased. For I must work as I can to hold on to power here. I have some discussions that must be had with my sisters, for instance. Could you perhaps find where he is? Track down that ship. We could perhaps lend you some assistance. But if you can find him, even find a way to release him, there may be a chance still. In the meantime, we can both try to quell rebellion within our ranks and seek out Imrith herself. I will speak to her personally.
Do the storm giants have any way of detecting ships seeing being your natural element?
And they nod and says, Sarissa nods and says, yes, but it has been some time. Mother. And Queen Neri rises and walks over to the pool that you see here in the center. That's right there. She walks over and she looks down at the pool, and then she begins to chant quietly. And as she's doing this chanting, humming thing, Urash, you're closest to it, I guess. Does anyone else want to be looking at the water or the giants? Like, where are you looking as this is going on?
I'm looking at the water.
I'll walk over and have a look. Might be interesting.
I would be looking at the water, definitely.
Look in the direction of the sound.
Okay. So the sound seems to be coming from, you think, from the queen, but the sight of it you can see from here. The water ripples and sort of flickers and ripples and gets dark. And then you see, almost rising above it, this image of what looks like almost a three-dimensional, I guess I have to jump out of the universe for a moment to say, like a hologram. But for all of you, the water itself leaps up from the surface to form three-dimensional shapes. And you see what looks like an enormous, essentially a squid. Not a kraken, actually. It looks like a squid, but it seems to be made of some mix of wood and metal. It basically looks like a squid ship, would be the way to describe it. And it is moving along the water at a pretty good pace. And there are storm clouds overhead. Storm and lightning shoots over it. There is rain and thunder that storms down upon the area. And yet cutting through is this strange looking wooden and metal ship, again, that looks kind of like a squid. And it's there, and then the vision fades, and Queen Neri looks up, and her eyes open, and the humming ceases, the chanting ceases, and she says, "It is all that we can see. There is some great darkness preventing more, some presence which keeps me from seeing more within the cloud." And Sarissa kind of rests her hand on her chin, looking thoughtful.
Is that that boat we were talking about where Hector might be?
Yeah, the name of the ship, by the way, you were asking, was
Morcar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the Morkoth is the name of the place, is the name of the ship. And yeah, the Morkoth looks like this. If it's anything like what it says it looks like this big kind of wooden metal squid. But there's definitely a sail on it, so I mean, it's definitely a ship.
Yeah, it's not the Kraken, is
no.
it? It's because we asked Dryland, I think when we interrogated him. Jumping out of character for a second, because I've just found my notes.
Sure.
Which I say notes, it's like 4 words. One of them being what I thought was called Morketh, not Morkoth, because my handwriting's terrible.
Ah.
Another one I think is the name of the Kraken, because he said it when he was dying. And I want to say Slarkessel, but again, it could be my bad writing.
I think that's probably about what you would have heard
Yeah.
From him, yes.
Okay, so that's probably similar to the name of the Kraken god that they worship, the Kraken Society, and that's Urosh kind of motions to the watergram. That's where Hekaton is, right? But that's not Slarkessel, the squid god. That's a ship, right? We're not going inside a squid god, are we? Guys?
This is
Guys?
They're all silent. Homer
It
seems
would
to
be
know.
delicious. We could eat it from the inside out.
I mean, I'm reasonably certain at least one of us has been eaten by a being before and tried to hack our way out from the inside at least once, if not
Yes.
yes. It was not good.
No.
So
Yeah, the office.
I don't know a lot about ships. This is not my topic.
It didn't have the usual sharp bit and blunt end, I know that.
But I had the left bit and the right bit, right?
I think
Well, it
so.
looked-
They're
it looked
supposed to have that.
Yeah.
Well, it
yeah.
looked bigger than the casino ship, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it sure did. Now it did not look as big
Sure.
as an actual, whatever Kraken beast, which you can't even kind of contemplate the size. Didn't look like that, but it definitely was bigger than this ship. This thing looked like, and it was fast from what you could tell.
I look at the party. I feel completely unqualified to hunt a ship.
And explain the stories about the missing boats we've been hearing.
That's very true. The dancing wave, it was called?
Yes, the Ring of Winter.
Wave
thing.
dancer.
Yeah, something
The whole
like that.
Ring of Winter thing.
Yeah, that whole quest that led us here.
Oh yeah, where's that ring? Did we
Yeah.
find it?
No,
Nope.
we didn't.
Oh god,
No, we didn't. That's causing some chaos.
we're so bad at this.
Yes.
Not bad. We love loose ends. We don't like. We like to give ourselves plenty to do.
Uncle Elias, thank you for the resub. 11 months. Thank you, Uncle Elias. I appreciate it. And hi, Heimdall. Welcome in. Thank you, Elias.
World saved. Camera just pans across all the artifacts of mass destruction we've forgotten to recover.
The montage of just,
It went on the Dancing Wave Queen ship or something like that, and it disappeared. And it was like, ships. Who knows?
Yeah, we were just like, our giants are going to be on the water. Wow, it's our face.
Yeah.
Doesn't
So-
whoever have the ring? Hang on, trying to remember.
It was the uncle
The
of
ring of
somebody.
winter made it impossible to track by magic the person wearing it, right?
That was one of its. That's
So,
What if the person who's wearing it's on a boat, which is also hard to track in general?
then we probably could do with some sort of flying apparatus to maybe search where we believe this boat may be.
Also, technically,
it's-
that would be a twofer because then
So,
we find giant guy
If we
and
had
find the ring.
something that could fly toweringly high, we might be able to call upon,
Indeed.
for example.
Indeed. Something that could something.
We're underwater. I don't think he can land here.
And she says, they all look at you like, but what exactly? What would such a thing be?
Are you
You
aware?
know,
It's very magical, as I understand it.
Well then, children, settle down and have a seat by the water, and we will tell you of the legendary wizard Zephyrus.
The story of the breakfast nook.
Zephyros.
I
So,
didn't say it.
so when do you actually mention the thing about Zephyros? Do you mention that?
I probably do, yeah.
Okay.
I say, as soon as Celsic drops the hint, I'll just be like, oh yeah, Zephyros, that guy.
And they say, so now you notice that Sarissa doesn't really seem to get it, but Neri and Uthor both seem to say, look, Zephyros. Uthor says, you know Zephyros?
Yeah, so he helped us out very close to the
We
beginning.
had breakfast with him.
Yeah, we shared breakfast with him. He's saved our lives a couple of times at some point.
We also met Harshnag.
Yes,
Harshnag. Now this one, everybody seems to know. In fact, even the ones behind you, the hill giants, like, Harshnag, big giant, strong. They seem to know this. There's a little bit of like, you should have seen the poster on my dorm room. Like very much, like sort of a legendary figure. And so, Sarissa says, you know of this Harshnag, and have been helped by this person that my uncle and mother know, Zephyros.
Yes.
It seems you have had many dealings with my kind already, and gained their favor.
More often than not.
Trying to save the world.
Well, we had to leave Harshnag behind because he was fighting a blue dragon.
Yes. When we were in the Eye of the Allfather, and I specifically say that, when we met with the Oracle in the Eye of the Allfather, and he bestowed us with knowledge, after completing a certain quest for him, then a blue dragon, a giant blue dragon. Urash's got his arms out. It's like a giant. It was big, man. It was a giant blue dragon. I'm like, it's like 4 of you put together. Okay, it attacked us, and Harshnag helped us escape by essentially fighting it while we escaped.
He basically shoved us out the door.
Yeah, I don't want to get in his way.
And there's sort of a pause, and they say, you fought these creatures. Did you mention the Oracle already to them?
Yes.
Did you fought these creatures with the Oracle while there?
At the Oracle.
At the Eye of the Allfather, yes.
At the Eye of the Allfather, and there's sort of a murmuring in the room.
In the kind of lobby, the central bit where all the statues are of all the different giant races.
I feel like we could have gotten their trust much easier if we had told them all of this before.
We can write this stuff down.
We lost our notes.
Although, in fairness, they might not have believed you.
That's true, yeah.
Resurrecting the queen tends to help a lot with your credibility. And Sarissa sort of slumps back and says, all these webs, they must be woven by all of us together, perhaps. We must take steps and move quickly. Do you think you could contact this Zephyros again?
If I unmute myself, I can say yes. I have a horn of calling that I can use.
And she looks over at Uther, and Uther says, it might work. The abilities of even a kraken will not rise into the level of the sky. You may find there are some dark storm clouds and rain that may require you to fly dangerously close, but it will allow you to cover much more ground than if you were just taking a ship and sailing aimlessly across the trackless sea. I think we should be able to get you to a place where you can use this horn, perhaps on the surface. And he stops and then says, that is, if, my lady, you wish it. And he looks at Sarissa with an expression of maybe apology. And she nods several times and says, good. We must move quickly. You, and she yells at the hill giant guards, like, oh! Gather some of the forces together. Tell them the maelstrom must be locked down. I want several guards here within the next 5 minutes. They must be sent out to look for Imrith wherever they can go. We will need your scrying abilities, my dear mother. And Queen Neri kind of nods. She says, meanwhile, my uncle. And she looks at him and he kind of is like, like what? And she says, you have done ill, but with good purpose. But now you must trust me. If your people have any contacts upon the surface still, you must use them. Gather what information we can. We must not only find where Imrith is, but find out what threats may face us right here in Maelstrom. And also, my sisters. They must be found and brought for interrogation. And Uther sort of stands, kind of bows his head to you, and then heads out. Queen Neri walks over to the pool and begins humming something quietly again. And Sarissa looks back at you and says, we should be able to transport you to the surface. More or less where you wish to go, I think, or at least some places where you might wish to go. Where would you seek to go on the surface where you might then use this horn to summon your friend?
I just kind of look to the others and kind of shrug my shoulders a bit. Anywhere we need to go?
We were kind of in a panic last time we used it.
A little bit, yeah.
It may be different when giants themselves use their own. She says with the faintest, doesn't seem like she's being mean, but there's sort of like a little smile like, those are my car. If you give me the keys, I'll handle that, type of thing.
There's one more thing I would like to mention, because it might have something to do with this whole conspiracy, or maybe not. When we were at the Eye of the All-Father, we met the ghost of Prince Aegeron of the Cloud Giants, who was killed by his father, Blagafkus, or something.
And they nod, like, or I should say not they both left, but the mom, Neri, doesn't seem to be paying much attention. But Sarissa nods. Yes, I have heard of Blagafkus. You say that he was responsible for killing this ghost?
No, the ghost came afterwards. He was killed. He killed the living prince, and we met then the ghost afterwards.
I see. Was there a description as to why he would do this?
I'm pretty sure we were told, but that's as far as I know.
Was it something about his father thinking Prince Aegeron to be weak?
I cannot remember. It's very, very
standard for royalty, isn't it?
And you're right. You're 100% right about Aegeron. That is all correct.
That's all I have on my notes.
Yep. So,
But he was killed in the Oracle room. Didn't it have something to do with what they wanted from the Oracle? Was there something like that?
He was either trying to fulfill or prevent a prophecy, I think.
Something.
Yeah, there's basically the idea of where, the question was about trying to revenge himself and his father by finding the details about where Blagafkus actually is. So you didn't really know that, but that was sort of like if you can find out where he is, then you can maybe take revenge on my dad for me, type of thing.
Yeah, but he also told us why his dad killed him, and I just don't remember.
Yeah, the reason that he had done that was because Aegeron was told to step out from beneath his father's dark shadow, and Blagafkus was so angry about it that he was like, kill the guy because I don't want my son to outshine me, basically.
And he didn't.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't. Well, I don't know. Maybe you struck him down and he came back faster than, stronger than you could imagine. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, okay, so maybe that didn't have anything to do with that. Okay, but I just remember there was something like that.
And she nods and says, this is something after this is done that we will try to attend to. There are some within the Ordning that have not acted as they should. I know that Duke Zalto of the Fire Giants
I was just about to mention Zalto.
has urged war against the Ordning and my people before. He must be dealt with. And the same thing would be the case for Blagothkus and others. Not simply because they pose a threat to the rule of the Storm Giants, but because they pose a threat to our civilized society. As long as they exist, we are at risk of constant war, and even the Giants cannot sustain that.
Yeah, we already ran into the fire giant. No need to thank us, but we have slowed him down a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of lean in and I say, yeah, Zalto's up to some nasty stuff, like keeping quite a lot of like humanoid slaves and building what looks like a giant metal robot.
He was building some sort of giant mechanism statue.
Giant iron person.
Zalto did this.
Yep.
Yep. Built the construction machinery ourselves.
And Sarissa, for the second time, like, you can see, like, processing quickly, you know, like wow, and says, "This is troubling. I am beset on all sides by enemies." And then her mother, eyes closed, hand over the pool, stops her humming for a moment and says, "You must confront one obstacle at a time, my child. All the rest will fall into place."
The guests. When we arrived first here, your sisters had guests for a musical performance from the other giant races.
Yes.
And they were not keen of having us speak with you. Some of them less so than others.
I am sorry to hear this, but you must understand that they are ambassadors of the other of the giants, fire giants, stone, and so on. And there is no wish for them to anger their hosts inside Maelstrom. They may have felt wrong in going against my sisters. I will look into it, but it would not surprise me if they were behaving as they did because of their own deep-held suspicions of little people. As I told you, the rumor has been that it is your fault that my father was taken away or that he went missing. Rumors that it was your fault that we have this moment poised on the edge of civil war. I apologize on their behalf, and I will see what I can do to make sure it does not happen again.
In case if we're looking for enemies, I just thought I mentioned their behavior. I was not looking for an apology.
She nods. I understand.
So we have two things to do. We have to hunt down and kill Imrith, or you want her for interrogation because you said both things.
I will
And
take
also-
either or both. Interrogation, then killing, perhaps.
Okay. And you also want us to go and get Hackathon from the ship, like both things, yes?
And she nods, and she leans in, and for the first time, she comes close. Now, Sarissa, remember, has set herself up. The whole time, she's been very, like, you know, staid, you know, kind of like very stoic and just the facts type of thing, except for occasional moments of anger, like at her uncle before, and that one moment, of course, when she saw her mother come back to life. But her sternness drops for a moment, and she comes over, and there's no one else in the room except the hill giants, and they are looking at the moment outside the room, like towards the hallway. And she kneels down, and she lowers her voice, and she says, "I want you to find my father. First, because you may have the best chance to do it. And second, because my father must see that the little people are the ones who rescued him. If he returns under the belief that the Lord's Alliance were the ones who ordered his kidnapping, ordered the killing of his wife, my mother, there will never be peace among us. You do not know what my father is like when he is angry. He will raze the Sword Coast to the ground in his rage. But if you rescue him, my father is a fair man. On your side, he could bring peace to the Sword Coast."
That assumes that there are little people on this boat holding him and no giants, which would improve our chances.
She
Because
nods.
if there were giants on the boat, he might have gotten the message by now.
And the little matter of the dragon, which we didn't so much defeat last time we fought one. We more survived and got pushed out a door off from.
A little bit, yeah.
And she nods and she says, "These are all indeed risks, and I fear what may happen. I will provide you whatever support I can from here, any gifts that we have, and I offer a chance at peace, a chance to restore the ordning, and perhaps to establish a permanent alliance between the little people and us. My sisters would not agree, but they do not rule. I do."
I don't think it would diminish King Hakaton's opinion of us if we had a giant or two fighting aside us.
And she nods. She says, "But there is another matter. I would send more than one. I would go myself. But they will know that there are giants aboard this ship. The only reason they would keep things on a boat and not into a prison is they know that my mother would have spied out their whereabouts any other way. We will be more conspicuous, at least if there were many of us. I would summon this Harshnag, but you say you have lost touch with him. Frankly, I never thought of him as a legend before now. I have heard of him in stories, but not in reality. But having a giant with you might be a way of lighting a torch in a darkened room. It will help light your way, but it will call every enemy, monster, and verminous rat to your place. I think you might wish the safety of stealth rather than the directness of attack."
We're doomed.
Considering the enemies we've already made, I'm trying to figure out what else we could attract, and apparently the only thing left I could think of is Kraken God, like ancient Kraken God.
But you forget, if it is true that Imrith is what you say she is, then you have made even more of an enemy of her. I don't know how many dealings you've had with dragons, but facing a one that was as powerful as Imrith must have been to conceal herself is... She sort of sighs and shakes her head.
You still want us to go after her?
Also because I believe that Imrith will not go to this place. She might retreat, go elsewhere. She might go to the various dukes and barons of my people. See if she can get the fire giants more on her side, the hill giants, the stone, and so on. But going back to that place, we would see her as she flew. The fact that she's not means that, well, and she pauses. There are no certainties, but I suspect that you will have a moment before Imrith strikes. At the very least, I would think you would rather face her with information, and perhaps with my father at your side, rather than doing it alone, or with those of us who can go with you. My father's return will unite my people in a way little else could. And I think that must be our first priority, before dealing with that worm, snake, Imrith.
I look at the party.
Only you
We're
can
pretty
decide
much out
this.
of favors to call in from gods at this point.
I will not force you. It is your decision alone.
Could that pony-eating dragon help us?
Talismana.
We can't even find him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sparkles. I'm not.
And there was this red dragon Cloud, but he was also kind of against us.
Oh yeah, there was, wasn't there?
Wasn't it the one with the
Well,
people
wow,
with the
we have
snake?
made some real enemies.
Wasn't it the guy with the people of the stinky breath or something?
Something like that, yeah. The Death Wind or something like that.
Is that
Yeah.
the goblins at Tribal?
No, that's his interim. We've
Yeah.
annoyed them as well.
Who also don't like you either.
Yeah, who also don't like us. But we have made some friends with some goblins and
Yes.
2 giants and
Don't forget a big tree.
big tree. Yeah, there's a big tree.
Yeah.
I'm the champion of courage.
You're the champion of courage.
Don't forget the
Awesome.
dragonborn spirits that River helped.
The
Yeah.
dragon-
We saved the
I
town.
forgot about them. They're
Not the time.
incorporeal.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, they're our list of
We could
friends.
probably call our ambassador Gleek. It's just where would we tell him to meet us? In the sea. They're
That's true.
goblins.
Summon-
They'll walk
summon
into
the
sea
goblins.
Drown.
You make like one of those, those ant bridges that like all the ants get together and they can float. You just have a goblin bridge. You just goblin boat.
So
I don't think we should have gone like.
I do like the thought of a goblin versus giant showdown, although that would get very squishy.
oh. Oh.
500 goblins per
Like,
giant,
yeah.
maybe.
Have you ever seen one of those documentaries where they make wine and they're just stamping on grass?
I'm thinking of was it that Battleson game where someone did like 10,000 chickens versus 10 T-Rexes?
Well, there's a website where you can figure out how many 5th graders you could take out yourself. Like how many 5th graders it would take to eliminate you in a combat.
Oh, there's a simulator for that. Oh, I wasted so many hours.
And like you put in your age and your height and your your weight and relative exercise level, and then they're kind of like, all right, you could probably take out like 12 5th graders, 5 5th graders, 30 5th graders.
What happens if you dual wield 5th graders?
Yeah, exactly.
As a party fighting giants, I find this information useful.
That's true. We need a
Indeed.
bunch. How many 5th graders can you assemble? Yeah.
I'm also googling it.
Okay, so I look at the party. So our logistic problem, if Zephyroth will pick us up, is how do we get from a flying tower onto a boat?
Urash fell off it just fine that time.
I look at the storm giants. How do you cross the sea usually?
Send Urash down, and then we all aim for him. After
And he
he's
catches us. He catches us.
well, at the very least, he'll survive the impact.
Now, that bit's definitely true. Catching you, I will
Tried
try
and tested.
I will try my very best. I'm better at throwing party members than I am catching them, and you know this firsthand.
But still,
It's
I look at
natural science.
I look at the storm giants. How do you get around the seas? I mean, maybe you have a better way of instead of flying tower.
And she shrugs and says, oh, first of all, yeah, Waldshot, and it's true, the Zentrum probably don't like anybody, but, at the moment. The Zentrum just, man, you get them in a room with the Red Wizards of Thay, close the door, and wait for the shouting to stop. Anyway, the...
I'm sure they'll pop up sometime, and I'm sure we'll annoy them too.
Yeah, exactly. We also hate you. Sarissa looks at you and says, there are ways that we have of traversing the deep. The conches of teleportation you have already used when you came here, but we are also, in some cases, able to travel elsewhere. We are not overly sensitive to the pressures of underwater, and we can hold our breath for many hours. It allows us sometimes to swim for great distances without anyone noticing that we're even there. In addition to that, we have gained the trick of being able to speak to various creatures of the sea, octopi, squid, whales, others. Not, unfortunately, the kraken, though it is one reason why the kraken apparently in legend did not like the giants. All of this news about them being so angry as to want to assassinate them, of course, is new. And she kind of looks up for a second at where her uncle left the room. She says, unfortunately, the things that we could do, your people would not be able to do. Even if I gave you potions of water breathing, you would not have a way to resist the pressures down here. But, at the very least, we can try to give information to your Zephyros. Perhaps my mother can give him some navigating ideas. And if he finds you, and you are able to board his ship again, perhaps she could help you help him locate the ship that you're looking for.
I look at the party. Do whales eat people?
Probably not on purpose.
What's a whale?
Well, whales are pretty, big fish, right? They just eat fish things.
But I know that whales come to the surface because otherwise, how would people catch whales?
I thought they were people who go on boats.
whales are people who go on boats?
Well, they're called whalers. So surely if you've got it's one whale, two whalers.
So, well, but think like if it
Whales-
doesn't go down
What are
too
whaleys?
far, we don't have a pressure problem, and we could get easily. I've seen a whale carcass.
I
so
mean, we've
maybe-
been under a lot of pressure, so maybe we'd be all right.
Yeah, but still,
I'm
like
understanding
whales,
that's pressure,
whales,
right? I'm not
whales need to come up somehow because otherwise people wouldn't be able to catch those big things. So if we could get on a whale, it might just like towards the ship, and then we can like walk off.
Does that mean
Instead of jumping down from a flying tower.
does that mean we would be whaleys, or are they just those rubber things you put on your feet?
I don't
No, I
know.
think those are waiters.
The waders. I was thinking wellies.
No. Waiters are the people who bring the food.
Ah, I see.
Oh no.
Come to the stay for the banter.
Okay, so we find a whale. We ask it to open its mouth nicely, and then we pull an Old Testament just right away.
Wasn't
No,
it?
Perfect.
On the whale. Don't want to go in the whale. I want
No,
to
we
go
go in the whale because then
No,
he
we
can
don't
go
go in the whale.
underneath the boat
No,
and
no,
no one
no,
will
no, no,
ever
no, no.
know.
I'm reasonably certain that our shaman told us a bedtime story like that once, and it didn't end well. The little one in our wood.
We just tell it not to swallow. It'll be fine.
I'm not touching that one.
We can hang out it with its teeth. Except whales don't have teeth. They have that like weird bristly stuff.
I can't say as I've examined many whales. I know there's not a lot to do in England, but I can't say that examining whale carcasses is high on my list of things that I need to do on a daily basis. We're not reached that point in lockdown here in the UK yet.
Actually come from a whaler town. But
Celtic wouldn't know a damn thing about whales. He's very confused.
Come on, what about the famous port Whalesmith? We know about what that exists. Come on. Whalesmith is huge in England.
You're right, whales are huge in England. Whales are huge, everywhere. They're pretty huge.
Yeah.
Saber is a whales.
Sabre is a Wales. You
Safer is in
on.
Wales.
absolutely spot on.
Outstanding
The
work.
worlds are colliding. and I
Well
don't
done.
like it.
Well done. All right. The fourth wall annihilated.
Well, in 2 shows a night.
Right.
Good night, everyone.
My immersion.
Underwater with a whale.
But I still like talking to the party. Like, I'm still about this whole boat approach thing. So, what do you think? How should we get on that boat?
I still go with the flying tower. Like it goes down, it goes close enough to the boat.
We need to find the boat before we can get onto the boat.
Let gravity do its thing, right?
Yes. How do you navigate on sea?
How do you steer a whale?
I think the
What's
whale
on the
knows
whale?
where it's going. And so
What if it doesn't want to go to the boat?
Whale, I don't know about this.
maybe you bribe it.
You bribe a whale.
Carefully.
Why can't you bribe something?
Very carefully.
We just have to create a minor illusion of krill that's ever moving in the direction we need to go.
What? What is krill?
We call it a krillet.
Yay!
Grilling me.
Grilling me.
You're just
son.
fishing for jokes now, Saber. I mean, really, I just.
Krill softly.
Oh man, I like not only the fact that a whale wails and wails at water wells, but that was done by Sea Nobi TV. Everything just comes like sea ocean puns. That's I have this image of you going across Twitch looking for places to make sea puns.
Just this bat signal of a whale that just goes up whenever anybody makes too many sea puns.
It
And
just
it's
Twitch brings you right to it immediately.
Oh, I've got work to do. Sorry, I gotta log in quick.
Exactly.
The hero we deserve.
So okay, so we shall take Sephiroth Tower. So we
I
need a place-
say the aerial approach is probably best. Last time I fell from a tower, and I mean, yeah, you guys were fine, and I was just very angry at the floor, so I was okay.
Retta's fallen into water before from a height, and she was fine.
Okay, so we need a place for the tower to land.
I think I actually died the last time we fell from a tower.
Yes, for a moment.
I was okay though. It's fine.
Yes. I just walked it off.
We could get another one of those scroll thingies.
Which time
That's
was
true.
that?
You might eat brains afterwards. I'm still not convinced.
It's
You were
fine.
sometimes it's a bit here. It depends how much we give to the church.
I mean, then again, it's River. She could just be hungry for brains in general and not be.
Depends how much we
They're
don't.
delicious when they're boiled.
I've got this. I've paid a whole 100 pieces of gold for this scroll of resurrection. What is this? I'm sure that's
Spelled wrong. It's like spelled with an I. Resurrection. Like, what is that?
Resurrection.
So,
Get up again.
so we are underwater. I don't think Sephiroth could land here, so we need a place where
We
Sephiroth can
go
land.
to the surface. We call Zephyros. We tell him what's going on, and
Yes, but
then he
the-
helps us get on, find the boat. We'll then probably take it from there. We wing
So-
maybe.
The question is, we should, like he will not land like in a big city. Maybe we could go back to the place where the useless dragon was staying, because that seemed to be like a pretty empty place.
We should go
And,
to the beach because we need to go find a boat. Because then we'll be close to the boat because we'll be on a beach.
So we need like a secluded beach or something.
Crazy logic. I
Yes.
just don't understand it.
So and then we needed to need a way to tell Sephiroth how to find the boat.
And Zephyros, yes.
So we
Well, how big?
we need
is
a
the
beach.
track
We
sea?
need Sephiroth. We need to tell Sephiroth how to find the boat, and then we need a plan to get on the boat.
How big? Serious question. How big is the trackless sea? Like, is it the whole sea? Like, if you just point at the ocean, that's
I
the
will bring us over. This is a good chance for us to take a look at this Sword Coast map. Join me
Billion Celsics.
in the Sword Coast map. Oh yeah, that's
How many
right.
Celsius is the trackless sea?
That's right. That's right. I was thinking about you the other day, Saber, because there's the former communications director who lasted about a week at the White House was called Anthony Scaramucci. So he actually made a joke that the length of time somebody lasts in the administration is how many Scaramucci's did they last. And I was thinking a lot about you, Saber, with that.
That's why while you're switching maps, can I just ask the party? So I'm on BuzzFeed at the moment.
And that's why we don't go on BuzzFeed.
I was on BuzzFeed. like, no, get away from BuzzFeed. And this happened. We lost Mike to BuzzFeed. Someone help us find BuzzFeed.
Didn't you say both?
I am a little concerned his house might have exploded.
I can't even believe that, like, BuzzFeed. Like, what?
He said both feet. He said he is on both feet. I think he was going to ask whether we are being well.
Really?
No, he did not. He said he's on BuzzFeed because about the 5-year-olds. He found the quiz.
Oh, the
Mine's
5-year-olds
52.
thing.
I could take out
They took-
52
they-
5-year-olds.
Is it?
They took him down. They took him down. The 5-year-olds got
Yeah,
mine.
that was 50 of them right now that just took him
That
out.
was all of them. They all got Mike. Oh man.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna pop up the map
he's
here.
there. Okay. How many 5th graders can I be?
There's 5-year-olds.
Carved
this
out.
one.
All of those descriptions of physique are very generous for my physique.
Okay.
I'm willing to
Things
do
over
whatever
here.
it takes to win. The rules don't apply to 5-year-olds. Sure.
Because this
Because I'll
is
just be like, come
war.
on, they're 5, you know. All right. So
Have you ever actually beat up a 5-year-old? Yes, no, I refuse to answer this question.
no, it's great. It's like that site is the site that keeps on giving. Let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna pull up here. I'm gonna window capture this map for the moment.
Oh, definitely helicopter style.
This just
I
keeps
want
on
to see
going.
if you get better marks than I did with all your answers, because I was actually being pretty honest. About how I really haven't
was it?
ever beat up a 5-year-old.
I was only afraid of the age scale question because I'm the end of one scale, so I just decided to take the other one because I've only got a few weeks left in this one. So I can't take down a lot of 5-year-olds, I can tell you. Only a little bunch.
Are you male or female? I am male, I am female. I am male, but wearing a protective cup. I'm coming from football practice.
While we are while everyone is laughing at the prospect of beating up 5th graders, just to be clear, we do not sponsor this here on GOG. You are watching.
No!
You're watching, yeah. Mike, I think is restarting. I hope that's what he's doing. But you are watching D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. I am joined, as always, by the currently not on the screen because he left Zoom, but we'll get him back. Pyron Jade, Darksaber 2K, and Tasty Chai, and Mike will be joining us again in just a moment. And the party is trying to decide how to get to this boat. Is the plan?
Only 37. Disappointing.
Mike's power went out completely. He is on mobile now.
Oh no! Well, that would explain why the buzz. See, the problem was before, chat, he was late because he was borrowing power, and it just ran out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm completely making that up.
Oh, so he says he's booting back up, so he's on his way.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Oh, well then, all right, then I'm not going to do the pictures because the minute I do that, this is what happens. You just make sure you do that. Yeah, I'm working on it, Shamgar. The problem is if I change that now, it's going to go back to it. You can only take 18 5-year-olds. Well,
that's my very, very good friend Shamgar, and I think he's just trying to annoy me. That is completely fine.
Oh, I see.
He is a real life friend. He's also a DM. He DMs all the systems.
Awesome.
Yes. So,
Any friend of Pyron's is a friend of ours, especially DM friends. Is a friend of ours. Are you people actually measuring? Like we're just like measuring to see. All right, here we go.
I know.
Let's see.
Tasty Chai is the mum not to mess with at school. That's what we've learned.
Yeah, that's right. Fight me, bro.
You apologize to my daughter right now.
Yeah,
I will take out this
the
entire
consequences.
playground.
No, because this isn't self-defense. Thank you so much, Quadrillion, for the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. 58-month streak. At this point, it is important not to panic. I would agree. Okay, so we'll be back in just a minute.
8 months.
Um,
Wow. Holy moly.
How many is that in
In Celsius?
rounded form?
I'm in measurements of distance.
I want to note.
It's
I
4
want to note
years and 10 months.
that I could take 52 5-year-olds. You are a true
Yeah.
child whooping hero. They should hold a ceremony in your honor. They should rename DeVry University in your honor. They should rename that. They should rename that Foo Fighters album in your honor. In your honor. 52
Welcome to the
5-year-olds.
52 Club.
I'm-
Yeah.
Do you also have 52?
I did, yes.
Oh, nice. I don't see, but you've already got early training, as do I, because of dealing
Mike,
with
it's
children
like
below
Mike.
5th graders. So,
Exactly. See,
You
we've
know?
had practice.
all right, Mike is. I just want to point out, Mike, that the way this went for
Apparently
us
haven't
was you said, I'm on BuzzFeed, at which point we heard bzzz, and you went dark. We're like, you really are at BuzzFeed. Like, you
Yep,
are.
absolutely. So, well, what on earth happened then? I have no idea. Everything just went off. I don't understand it. Like, I didn't kick anything. I didn't pull any wires out. Literally, everything just went off completely. Like, something must have tripped somewhere. I
Wow.
don't know what on earth
You have a
happened.
cat, don't you?
Yeah, neither of them are in here. Like,
Where is
Yeah.
Imrith? Where is Imrith?
That's what the cats want you to think.
he's at the junction box. I'll show him.
I've learned that having children gives you a greatly increased capacity for harming children today.
Especially colicky infants. It does a thing to you.
Mm-hmm.
So before I was rudely taken off air by my own electricity supplier, what I was going to say was I'm on BuzzFeed at the moment on the how many 5-year-olds do you think you can take in a fight
Right.
quiz, and the two questions that really ring out to me, and I'd just like to know everyone's really quick opinion on this one. Firstly, do you describe yourself as being easily climbable, and would you be willing to use a 5-year-old as an improvised weapon? I already know Saber's answer to this.
I did talk about dual wielding them
Yes,
earlier.
Right.
Just interested where everyone falls on that one, just for scientific purposes.
I am not easy to climb. I am 6'3" and a whole lot of get the hell off me. Even my own kid, unless I specifically lift him to my level, and my 12-year-old is too big to be lifted at this point. But yeah, so swing him like a bat. Well, also, if you do it, like if you make sure that you do it holding them by the legs so their arms flail out, then you can do more damage. Like you clear a higher radius because of the
I found
arms
that.
out.
Yeah, no,
So-
I found that. So, Chai, same question.
I am not easily climbable, and I've discovered this is because oftentimes my daughter tries to climb up me and slides down my slippery pants.
Slippery pants. I hadn't thought about that.
These
That's a
yoga
good call.
pants, right?
Yeah.
They don't.
No,
They're
that's,
not. There's no
yeah.
traction there.
That's right.
So she slides down and face plants and then cries, and it's very sad. But I
This
said I
happens
would
10
not.
times a day.
Yeah, right. I said I would not use a child as an
No?
improvised weapon, and I still
Interesting.
got 52. So feeling good about that.
Interesting. And same question, Perrin.
So I know I'm easily climbable because I've got a 4.5-year-old who climbs on me all the time. So I know that, and I would definitely use a child as a weapon.
Yeah, I would probably say I'm easily climbable just because there's a few bits that people can grab onto. Got a few extra pounds from lockdown. And also I like baggy clothes as well, so that's a thing. But I would 100% use a child as an improvised weapon.
I think what let me down was my swinging my arms like a helicopter strategy.
Yeah, no, you have to use their strategy, which doesn't exist against them. That is a straight reality. All the parents in this chat will agree with me. You use your superior experience and knowledge, and their very, very predictable attack pattern to
Yeah.
deal with things.
Plus I'm 6'5", not 6'5", 6 foot. So if I'm swinging my arms like that, I'm just like, oh right.
Yeah, exactly. You said 6'5". I'm like, Jesus, what?
No.
You're enormous.
Oh my God.
Wow.
But isn't Mike like 6'5"?
I am 6'4" and a bit, but it's an important bit. So
I got a friend that height. Huge.
Man, this is a tall D&D stream. Okay, so let's see. So Chai, how tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
5'6". That's how tall my wife is. Pyron, how tall are you?
I've seen pictures.
I'm googling.
Converting.
So basically,
Pardon
in
me?
any photo, Mike and I are in the back, is what you're saying,
yeah, pretty
right?
much.
Like,
I'm always in the back. I'm always
If
in
I
the back.
thought
remember, the
Pyron was
picture I saw
tall.
was Pyron with
I am
Outstar and
perfect.
another member of the stream team, and Pyron was the middle height, and Outstar was the shortest.
no, Outstar is like, yeah. Outstar
Yeah.
is like 3'8".
She's fun size.
Apparently, in feet and inches, I'm 5'7".
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
5'7",
You're a little bit
yeah.
taller than me.
I have the.
like the
I
way
have,
we're all
I
like,
just-
yeah,
just
okay, that's
pointing out,
respectable. Yeah.
I have the perfect height for my height. Like I'm.
Perfect height for my height.
I have the perfect height for my height as well. It's just I don't have the perfect height for buying clothes or shoes.
Yeah, man. I actually, one of the guys who used it, series runner, Mike, who played in my campaign, was 6'6.5".
Yep.
And I was just like,
the struggle
good
is real, man.
God. Like, yeah. Plus, at one point, he had this like basically super curly, almost like fro thing going on at one point. So it just like added to the height. I'm like, geez. And I'm not used to looking up at people most of the time.
No,
and so I was just like,
It's a real challenge, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I'm 6'4" and a bit, and I'm size 13 feet, which means I basically get my shoes at boat yards. Just have them ordered specially in from docks.
I'm a size 12, which makes it easy because if I want to measure feet, I just look at my foot. Like my foot is a foot. It's real easy. I just measure it out. Anyway, we should get back into the game. Everyone's like, what's
Yeah,
going
so
on
what
here?
we-
We're like, we're just
what are we
talking
doing?
about fifth graders. Okay.
He's talking
All right,
about
Mike is back.
5-year-olds. Sorry, yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
So what I fired up on the stream, you can see is the trackless sea. So this is the trackless sea. And it's a little bit basically southwest of where the Sword Coast would be. You can see that there's the Sea of Swords up there to the north. And if you were to look over at, let me see if I can scroll this down here. Here is the, let me get rid of this for a second. So here's the Sea of Swords, which is over to the west of Baldur's Gate and probably extends up to, probably just the height of it would be the northernmost part of it would be Waterdeep, right? And then all the way down from there. And so if you were to go there southwest, so like over in this area over there, right down to the southwest corner where you can't even see, then you would find yourself here up at the northeastern, the top right corner basically of that map. Heading downwards. And so the trackless sea is basically over there. This, incidentally, is reason number 7 million why Ed Greenwood's incredible Forgotten Realms just keeps on giving. Like, all this stuff happens in the Sword Coast, but it's enormous, y'all. Like the stuff that he puts is... It's crazy how much stuff there is that doesn't get talked about very much. Everyone just thinks about, like, basically Underdark, Moonsea, and, like, anywhere in the Sword Coast. But, like... Callum's Port that I'm going to be doing an adventure in, and like obviously Chult where Tomb of Annihilation takes place, and like a bunch of these. There's a lot of places here. Anyway, so that's the trackless sea in answer to your question.
Cool. So it's, I look at Celtic, many Celtics.
Right.
This might be difficult. I motioned to the rest of the players like this might be a little bit more difficult than just flying around for a bit.
looking for a person who may have an artifact that stops him being tracked.
Yeah.
Her being
Well,
tracked.
being like magically tracked. I was like, because I had that amulet that did the same thing. right?
Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll just look for
Oh.
footprints on the trackless sea.
All right, no need to be snippy. Like, we're looking for a giant boat, right?
Search for tracks.
So like, surely it's gonna be pretty big.
I mean, are there fisher people catching fishes? We could ask them if they have seen many large ship thing, big ship, and
We heard
possibly waves. I was thinking waves.
We heard about all the ships disappearing.
Yeah,
So
why did the
maybe-
wave dancer go missing?
But it didn't tell us.
I'm sure it's in
Or
notes.
where? Did you ask why or where?
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 We
I
had
think
a
it left,
where.
I think it left
I
Waterdeep and then
didn't-
disappeared.
I thought that we
Yeah.
did have a mark on our map
Didn't it
about
run
where it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, didn't it run between Waterdeep and Neverwinter?
Yeah, but like very far that away,
Ye-
west.
Please stand by. Opening journal. I need to reopen all of my tabs now because everything is closed.
I'm
So-
just pinging over where the
It was
Ah.
going from Luskin to Waterdeep.
That's it.
No, that was the Moon Maiden sighted
Oh,
floating
the dancing
debris.
wave. There you go. So, Never Cold Water handles the ship. Dancing wave has gone missing from Luskan to Waterdeep. The Moon Maiden sighted floating debris. So the dancing wave has gone missing, and the ship, the Moon Maiden, saw some floating debris between Luskan and Waterdeep.
I mean, at this point, didn't it go? I mean, in
Oh, that was
game
a while
time,
ago.
didn't it? Yeah, in game time, in universe time, wouldn't that have been several months ago at this point?
Really? Oh, a while
Yeah.
ago.
about a
Yeah.
month anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was around the time. Did we not get that from Devessa Shane? And that was in Bryn Shan.
Oh, that's right. So that would have been a
That
couple
was a
months. Yeah, I
while
forgot that
ago.
Duvessa Shane did that. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a while ago.
So, okay, but Queen Neri just had also saw a place where she couldn't look. Right? Did I get that? Did I
Right.
answer
There's
that
like a
correctly?
darkness, sort of a darkness around it, which is shielding. So it's almost like you can see a little cutaway of the ship and where it is on the sea, but not anything around it. So there's no context. It's just water.
Does anybody have a map? Celtic, didn't you have a map?
Of where?
Places? Like maybe
The same map we have.
Like maybe we could get Nerissa. We could ask Queen Neri to mark where she saw the thing that she couldn't see.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I've got my general map.
And basically just comb the ocean until there's a big blank spot, and then there, it's in that general area.
Find the bit of fog of the wall that regenerates.
Yeah, that's the plan. But yeah, and seemingly moves as well. Weirdly.
I mean, we could ask around about missing ships.
I mean, that's a sound strategy. That sounds like a very sensible plan.
Yeah, but Sarissa says because the dragon might now be working against us directly, we need to move quickly. So maybe we don't have time for a lot of detective work.
We have to be very quick at detective work.
Yes.
Right, and to be clear, just one quick note. I don't in any way mean to railroad you in that direction. By the way, like quick is in relative terms, so it's up to you. I don't want to make you feel like you're being pushed one way or the other. You can still decide your own course. But it is true that she mentioned that Imrith is now gone, and so you could put two and two together about that, I guess. But
Well, maybe
I'm
Imrith
not
just
worried
gave up
till the
on the
natural
whole thing.
countdown appears.
Well, maybe Imrith just gave up on the whole thing and went home and is having tea. You never know.
Why?
Knew she was bested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if we go to a fishing village / town, and we talk to the fisher people about missing boats and or sightings of big spooky things,
And
perhaps strange weather, maybe.
Well,
Like,
still
you're
need to
really
get there,
on
that being
point
said.
today, River. I must say, you're really on point today. Like, you really spotted that perception earlier, and like, you must have gotten like a really good night's sleep and a good meal.
I had a good food. It was very delightful. Yes. Also,
You-
necromancy.
anything in that
was
tomb,
exciting.
did you?
thank you for the follow, Tiger.
It's necromancy now. This isn't being undone.
Nothing wakes me up like a good resurrection in the morning.
Nothing wakes me up like a good resurrection.
Oh.
I feel alive and ready to face the day. I was dead asleep, but
Warms the bones.
So, speaking. So who's? Sorry, I've completely lost track of who's in the room at the moment. I know obviously we're in the room, but we're just talking about mostly nonsense and some plans. Giant-wise, who's in the room?
the only giants right now are the two hill giants. Although one of them is basically out in the hallway, and the other one's right at the door. And the only other one in the room with you right now is Sarissa, because, well, I shouldn't say that. The mom is there, but the mother right now is sort of occupied with, Neri is occupied with sort of using her seeing abilities on this water.
So she's scrying at the moment in this pool.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. Or she's doing stuff with this pool that we saw her using earlier. So
Exactly.
So Sarissa, if I or someone could ask Sarissa, I can ask Sarissa, is there a good way of navigating this sea? Like, I know it's called the Trackless Sea, and I just look at my map, and it's pretty big, but do you know any ways of, or anyone who can navigate it?
As far as ways to navigate it, yes, there are several, and many of them would be the same for us as they would for you. There are flying mounts that can be used, for instance, creatures that will fly over the surface and find what is there. They can cover more distance and see further than we can on our own. There is, as you mentioned, this castle in the air, which perhaps could have some value to you. There are many regular ships which can ply the trackless sea also. This thing must be somewhere within the sea. It is not invisible. Perhaps if you went and found a storm that is in a place where it should not be, it might be easier to track down. And then, of course, there are other methods. Airships, sailing ships, flying mounts. All of these are possible. It is even possible, perhaps... First of all, thank you for the follow on my channel, Zelson. It is even possible, perhaps, for you to be able to fly yourselves using some kind of magic. Though that could be dangerous if your magic does not last beyond finding the ship. But any of these would be possible. I should warn you, whatever method you ultimately choose to go, if this ship is plying the trackless sea, it means that it must be well protected. You will need to be ready for whatever is near it, if you see what I mean.
Do you think that this... I appreciate that. Do you think that the ship would be traveling alone, or they would have ships around it?
I cannot say. Until my mother's sighting, I did not know that such a ship actually existed. But it seems unlikely there would be many ships. It would be harder to discover one than more than one. And besides, whatever made this happen... She kind of pauses, and her voice drops even. She's still on one knee, and her voice drops even further, and she says, "You must understand that my father was not foolish. He knew the dangers that awaited him. For him to be taken unawares, it is not like him. And it means that these people know what they are doing."
Thank you. I'll go back to the party. I think what we probably want is a navigator to try and help us find our way around the sea. And I think it might be worthwhile checking between Luskan and Waterdeep. Because if this ship is moving around, then it's probably crossed paths with ships on that shipping path, on that course. Because there'll be I know enough about kind of seafaring to know that ships don't just go off in random directions. They'll have actual courses, right? That's like common knowledge even for orc kind.
Yes, I would say so.
But like trading ships have courses.
Sure.
So like if a course has been intercepted by the ship, it might be worthwhile to try and investigate that bit first and then spread out from there. And as useless as it might sound, spreading out in a random direction might be the only thing we've got until we see bad weather on the horizon. And I can't really find a better way of looking for this weird weather on the horizon than from the vantage point of a giant flying castle.
Now, just to be clear, and I'm really trying not to clap my hands and giggle like a small child, are you suggesting that perhaps what the party could do is each commission their own ship and not only split the party, but do so on 4 separate seafaring vessels? Because I'm here for that chaos. I just want you all to know.
Not what I said. Over 100%. That is inference to the highest degree. It is like, so from what you're saying, even though
Objection.
what was specifically said was we should all go and investigate this and then go in here and all in the same flying tower. You have decided that we're all taking a different mode of dangerous transportation and going off in a random...
I've got to admit, mentally, I'm already flashing through like a montage of all 4 of us getting hijinks on boats, and I love it, but no.
All set to the theme from Moana, away, away, no cost to find. No,
what we want is to be proper wayfinders by the time we get back, but what we actually get is a watery grave.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm of course joking, but no. So what you're suggesting is actually sending these people out in different directions while you were all on the Cloud Castle to sort of triangulate on the position, I think, if that's what I'm understanding.
Sort of, yes. If we can get additional help with this, that would be fantastic. If not, it's going to take us a while. But, I mean, even if we can't, surely we'll be able to cover, visually, we'd be able to cover a lot of ground if we're high up in this castle.
Yeah.
So then we'll be able to know, okay, there's some stormy clouds over there. We'll go that way if it doesn't turn into anything. But the problem then is noting down where we've been. It's easy, and I kind of look at our maps. I'm like, it's easy for us to note down what towns we've been in and what roads we've been on because they're in a set position, right? I don't know where to say, we've been in this part of the sea. That's where I think we need a proper professional to be with us and to help us navigate the actual ocean, so we know where we're going.
All searches need a starting point. We can't just point at the map and go, let's start here. Because for a start, we need to find our way there.
True.
So we go to the coast. We ask around about problems with ships. We find a place for Sephiroth Tower to land. We hope that he actually comes. We fly out with a tower. We try to find a storm. We try to get out of a flying tower in a storm onto a boat where powerful people are keeping a giant king. And I would like to point out that the last time we got out of the tower was with some gliders, and that went really well.
Hang on now, there's water. There's water, it'll be fine. It's just like
What if we
jumping
can
into
fall
a pile of snow.
There's going to be a storm. We might not even hit the ship. We might just...
Yeah.
I am definitely thinking we can worry about that when it happens.
I would like to worry before it happens.
What if we repel? Ooh, we could repel and hold on to ropes and then swing around all cool like.
In a storm.
In a storm!
Yeah,
and then we get struck by lightning and then we're zappy.
I'm still in favor of whale transportation.
Don't you cast lightning at things? It didn't look very fun.
I'd also like to remind everyone that the boat is made of wood. I look very strongly at Greta.
Well, okay. This is I can't say that I didn't have the thought of just throwing tar down from the tower, set the boat on fire, hope that everybody jumps off, then just douse the boat again, getting the giant king off, and everything is fine. But the last time I thought people would extinguish a fire, they did not.
The only
Luckily, you have an ice dragon with you. Ice dragon born.
Yeah, they could just stand there. Oh, our boat is burning, but still attack these people now. We had that happen, and I was very unhappy about it.
Just stay in the tower until they leave. It's gonna keep burning.
Apparently, we could also sink the boat, which is not a problem because storm giants can hold their breaths for hours. We just learned that.
Yes.
I have heard of a spell that can make you fall as light as a feather.
Is it rage?
It is rage magic.
No, I just had the best idea. We find it and we do ice storm and you freeze the whole thing and then it sinks. It's perfect. And then I get to use ice storm.
It's a plan.
Okay, I actually like that. Let's go.
Okay, hell,
Yay!
get us on board.
I
This
thought
is
you were
gonna
gonna do.
be
I was waiting for the image of like the Mission Impossible entry with a feather fall, like you all jump off and then just and you hear the dun 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 dun.
this is gonna be the highlight of my career.
So wait, I want to be
Feeling
clear.
the king of the giants.
What plan did you? So what plan have you now settled upon?
It's fine. We're gonna
We-
make it go along.
We go to the coast. We find
Right.
find out a possible location of
Okay.
the boat.
Right.
That's all.
We
we're-
call Sephiroth. We fly there. We sink the ship.
You sink the whole ship with King Hecaton
Well,
on it.
The storm giant can hold his breath for hours.
I can't believe the barbarian of Tempest is the one not wanting to sink the ship.
I don't want to sink the ship.
Why
There's no
don't you-
finesse to that.
We could ask, like, if they actually can. We could ask the storm giants to go out
What if
towards
it's a
the
magic
place,
ship?
towards the place where the storm is, and they can just pick up the sinking King Hecaton.
Well, probably as long as there's not a kraken hanging out right there.
And what if
That
he's,
would be the problem with that.
what if he's chained to the ship?
What if Imrith told them we're coming?
He can still hold his breath even if he's chained. And
Well,
if
he's
there is an
unconscious.
ancient Kraken god there, we're just
If he's
in trouble
if he's
anyway.
not- if he's conscious and not chained to that ship, do you think he's still going to be on that ship?
He may jump to the conclusion we're trying to kill him.
I said, well, gee, I wonder
Can't see
why.
us. He can't
He
see
wouldn't know. We're still
No.
in the tower.
We
All
need to
anyone will
convince
know
him
is,
little
oh,
people.
There's a tower with a
listen
hat
to
on.
him.
Holy crap, we're sinking. That's all they'll know.
Yeah, we're supposed to be convincing him little people saved him. If he's been kidnapped by little people, and the last thing he thinks as he sinks into the ocean is, God, I hate these little people, we haven't really fixed anything.
So I think
I really liked that plan.
go to the coast, find a navigator or someone who can help us track the sea, get the flying tower, go to sea. I think everything after that is fluid and should be thought of like we've all got plans, right? And whatever happens, I think we have some contingencies in regards to what might happen there.
I love that you used the word fluid just then with
Thanks.
regards to tracking on the ocean.
Very fluid.
Let's do this. Let's go to the
Yeah.
coast, do some interviews, and see if
Let's do an
Sephiroth
interview.
actually comes.
And not sink any boats.
So, assuming that the party is going to do this, then she rises to her feet. Sarissa does, and she says, "Before you go on your way, then to begin this, please, I want you to have these. Come with me." And so she brings you back. Let me take you off of the Sword Coast map here, back to Maelstrom. Which I think is there. The line must be drawn here. Yep, good. Okay. Actually, ooh, I need to see what map we're actually looking at. Oh, good. Yes. So she turns and she walks back this way. And when she gets to... Okay, first of all, these giants are currently not here. Goodbye and goodbye. She walks this way, and when she gets to this spot, she actually stops. And she looks at it and looks down and says... she waits and says, I am curious. If you had been entering this room without me, how might you have done it? She's sort of looking back at all of you.
Front
why
door.
Wait, what?
Why would we want to enter this room?
Which room?
As it
Front
turns
door?
out, you would not. But I am always... Damn it, keep forgetting the echo machine.
Oh, down there.
But I keep forgetting or wanting to know more details about how the little people think through things. And I wondered how you might enter this place. This is our treasury. You, of course, would not be robbers, but I'm curious how little people might think. Not that any of you have any expertise, of course, in that area.
I don't go much for sneaking around. I'm a bit big for that. So I think if there was something in here that we really needed, and busting my way in here wasn't an option, I'd have a long hard think about whether or not I really needed it, especially if there were lots of giants guarding it.
I'd ask nicely.
The door doesn't look flammable, so Greta's out of ideas.
He says,
Yes,
and
I am.
And you don't know anything about that, Celtic. You're a ranger.
It's not made of tree.
Not made of trees or badgers.
I knock on the door to make sure. A wooden sound.
and she says, well, fortunately, of course, you are with me. Perhaps, let's see. And she looks at you as if she's sort of sizing you up, and she says, Greta and Selsig, perhaps step right in front of me here. And she points to those two squares that you see outlined in yellow.
I just
step
assume that she
forward.
doesn't want to kill us, so I'll step.
Yep, and nothing happens.
It's the most elaborate method of killing us I've come
Yes,
across
it was
so
an
far.
extremely long play.
Thank you for rescuing your mum. Let's discuss the plan to rescue our dad. Now
says-
step here so I can stab you.
She says, now I've got you as Imrith. Whoa. No, she doesn't do that. I am Imrith. No, she said, so nothing happens, and she says, yes, and now look up.
I look up.
You see two enormous anchors, like huge anchors suspended in chains that are above your head. And she says, any creature that is of a, let us say, giant's weight or more, that steps on this, would soon find there was little for them to remember if they survived what happened next. We use this instead of doors, for we find that this is a more safe approach. Of course, the little people would have more difficulty if they triggered these things on their own. If all four of you stepped on it at once, though, well... And she kind of lets it trail off, and she says, we, on the other hand, avoid this problem by stepping over it. Although there was one time... it's a pity. He was such a good singer, that one. And she kind of shakes her head and steps over, assuming you move out of the way.
I'm already sidling off to the side of
Yeah.
the square.
Steps over it into here. And she opens, and you see in this room, I should say, that there are a bunch of, it looks like these anchors, by the way, are, as you look up and you sort of step in, you realize that actually it's not just the two anchors above you, but as you look above, the lights sort of spring to life in the ceiling, and you see that it's not just two. There are many anchors, well over 30, all suspended from the roof, all suspended by chains. And she explains to you that these were all anchors that they found and salvaged from various ships that had sunk over the years, and that they had then extended them up to there. And each one of those anchors is probably thousands of pounds. So, side note, it occurs to you that probably people, like maybe the treasure, would also be destroyed if with all these anchors fell at once, but maybe that's the point. But in any case, besides that, though, there are 3 crates, there are 2 barrels, there is a massive sea chest, and there are 2 anemone chests as well. And she opens this second anemone chest, which is over here, and she pulls out 6 vials, and they are made of purple and green coral. 3 purple, 3 green. And she, I should say not 6, takes out 4. Takes out 4 and hands 1 to each of you. And she says, this is for in case you find yourself in deepest danger. They are potions that will allow you to grow to the size of a giant, if need be, and they are specially designed for use by the little people. But be warned, they will not last forever, and growing to the size of a giant does not mean you understand how to use the size and weight of a giant. Nonetheless, this may even the odds for you.
What about our clothes?
And she says, those are sized with you, fortunately. Otherwise, there could be some rather embarrassing developments. But the field of magic covers your clothing as well.
Impressive.
Can one person use such a potion more than once?
No, each of these potions is but a one-use item. You can see they are not very large, and they require you to drink the entire thing.
What I mean, could we give like all of them to Urash?
They would not build upon top of each other, if that is what you mean.
No, but like one day he can be a giant, and the next day again.
Oh, yes.
Something like that.
Certainly, yes.
It will not damage him in any way.
No, it should not. Drinking more than one at a time, I don't know. It could lead to unfortunate effects. But as long as it's worn off, there's no reason why you cannot use another.
So in theory, we could pass for a giant?
In theory, yes.
Oh, thank you. That is an incredible gift.
And she smiles and she says, "There is, however, one more." And she opens a couple of things as if looking for something. The first crate that she opens is basically filled with these enormous rugs that are like 20 feet square. And she sort of like looks at all of you and then is like, like this sounds like a good idea, but maybe not now. Like, this is not something you can probably use at the same time.
You're supposed to glide from the tower.
Exactly. And then there is one other thing that she brings that she looks at and says, "Yes, when I heard you speaking about how to get to this ship, it occurred to me that there may be something here that would be of some value to you. This thing that I am about to show you does not move easily. It is not particularly fast, but it does have some significant value." And with that, she opens the second crate and she pulls out these two things which she then basically puts together and presses a button, and the two sides of this thing I'm about to show you fuse in place. And I'm going to show this to chat because it is one of the coolest things that I've ever had a chance to look at. Okay. There it is. All right. Let me find this thing. What? Wait a second. It's not where it's supposed to be. Where is it on my desktop? There it is. What are you? You are a... Oh, you're one of those. All right, fine then.
God, the suspense is killing me.
Try to save an image and... Yeah, I was very excited for a moment. That's okay. I'll
We will learn
Find
about
another way to do
magnets now.
How do they work?
I actually had never encountered this thing before this item, and it's super cool. Okay. Okay, is that the thing that I want?
Screamer Joypad's about to explode again.
The reason I don't want to see, I don't want to do a window capture because you may come back to it again. All right, I'll just use a window capture for now. I will show you all what it is. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Show us the thing.
Wait
Show
for
us
it.
the thing. Show us the thing.
Okay,
This better be epic now.
there you go. This thing looks sort of like a mix between a submarine and a lobster, is basically what it looks like.
Oh
And
my
you can
God,
see
yes.
this thing pulled out and sort of brought up to the surface here. And as I said, she fused the two halves together. And this thing stands there. And she says, "We found this item after a gnomish ship had sunk. We found later that it had a particular quality to it. It was called an apparatus of Quailish, and it is several qualities to it. The first is that it can, when necessary, crawl along the land. It can also float in the water. But in addition, if closed and sealed, it can go underwater to a great detail. And the mechanical sort of effect is that this thing can actually go 900 feet under the water. And you can then control this item while underwater. So so she goes on to explain that this thing basically can transform into what you see. When you click a couple of levers, the claws retract basically, and it moves into what essentially is a submarine form, basically. It has room for 2, though, not 4. It has room for 2 inside of it, one of which has to be the pilot. But the compartment is airtight and watertight, and the compartment inside contains enough air for 10 hours of breathing, which is divided by the number of breathing creatures inside. So if you have 2 breathing creatures, you get 5 hours each, basically. And you could use that if you wished as well. So she points out that it's much too small for a giant to use, which is why they basically have just kept it here. But quite obviously, some of the little people could indeed use this. It's called an apparatus of Quailish.
Do they have shotgun in the Forgotten Realms?
And there's all these levers inside that allow it. Like, you see those things on the top that look like pipes? Those are actually lit eyes. So it can actually light up eyes and, like shine on the sea and so forth. You can sink it further down by using various levers or increase it. You can even attack with it. You can use a claw to attack other things using this.
So does this go like completely underwater, or does the chimney
Completely
to stick out?
Can go completely
chimney?
underwater. No, there's no there. Well, there is one, yes, but that's sort of for steam work on land. But when it goes underwater, the thing seals off, so it actually can go completely underwater.
This is amazing. I'm already got my head in the door.
Yeah. There are. I have to say, by the way, Celsic, there are so many levers. You have never seen so many levers in all your life. Like there's like literally there are 10 levers that are all like arrayed in front that apparently do different things.
Are any of them labeled?
No.
I didn't think so.
Let me rephrase. There's a number under each one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But that's it. Okay.
I look under the seat.
So the seat basically, yeah, there isn't much in the seat. If you could, if you wish, like pull a lever or two.
Don't think I should do that in the home of the giants, but then we do have to get this thing outside somehow. Pull lever 1.
Pull all the levers, ultra crab mode.
If the thing goes up, this thing goes up to the surface. Can we replenish the air that is in there?
Yes, once it's been back up to the air, it will refill. There's actually several what they call bladders, but not for, air bladders, basically, that are these inflatable compartments that open up and then gradually reduce as you are underwater, and those will refill. But it typically takes about an hour to dump the sort of stale air, the air that you've been breathing, and to refill the bladders. So when you go above, it takes an hour before you refill enough to go down below.
Time to create the Celsigs Marine.
Nice. Yeah, everyone is already doing in a land where I was born. We all live in a crabby submarine.
Okay, well, I've already got 1 to 10 written on my character sheet. I'm gonna work this out.
I just I don't trust this in the slightest as fuck.
Pull lever 1.
You could fit in it, by the way, Rush, but you'd be a little bit like,
I know.
like
I don't want to, but I know. It's like this isn't natural, man. It's crazy.
But it would be much easier to get from this on the ship via water walk.
Well, yeah, I still think falling from a great height is technically easier.
What if we could get low enough and push this into the water and then jump in the water next to it?
Oh man, it looks really creepy.
Look at those claws!
They look pretty cool, but the whole thing looks like it's gonna try and eat us.
The claw.
Yeah, but we'll already be inside it.
That's what worries me.
The claws look like they could sink ships.
That's true.
It depends on the ship. We can certainly give a fisherman a fright.
I don't see why you'd think it's intimidating. It's just fine.
I'm not saying it's that intimidating. I'm just saying it's unnatural and I don't trust it. This is a metal. This is a vehicle made of metal with weapons on that moves on ground and in the water. How is everyone okay with this?
You have a big killy thing of metal and move on land and in the water.
Yeah, forged by a dwarven blacksmith, which I wield with skill and precision, mostly.
And rage.
You had to practice to get that skill and precision. I'll get there.
Well, I mean, if the giant ancient Kraken god wants to get us, this might be a way.
Hey, I'm not saying we shouldn't take it. I'm just saying I don't want to drive it. I don't or be in it.
You won't get the chance to drive it.
And I'm just like, or I don't kind of be in the way of it either. I kind of go around the side.
I'm just sitting in the seat making like noises.
What are you doing? But you're not doing any lever, are you? Or are you?
I mean, do they all just look like levers, or is there like anything that might make one of them look like it's like a cluster of 3 and then a cluster of 2 or anything
Nope.
like that? Or is it literally
They all
just
look like
spinning
levers.
around? Okay,
Maybe
I'll pull lever
one
1.
Maybe one is more used than the other.
So when you pull lever 1, the feet and the claws, whoosh, and the thing goes, boosh, and then rolls over slightly with you inside it. And
Okay, so retracts legs, I think.
basically,
Well, the note
I
does say retracts legs, I think.
I look at Sarissa.
Like
do
me
you
playing a
have
mech warrior game.
go ahead,
What
Greta.
does
What?
that
Manual?
do? Oh no.
Is there a manual? And she says, "Sadly, no. Even had we received this directly from gnomes, our understanding is they are not really interested in instructions about things."
I've got one more question. Before he tries to walk out of this room, does this thing weigh as much as a giant?
500 pounds around. It would trigger that device, if that's what you mean.
That's what I meant.
I can carry it out of the room for you.
Out before
Push lever 1 back again just to get the legs back
That would
out.
be very kind of you. I think we don't want it to be crushed within your treasury.
And she nods.
What are we gonna call it?
Yes, we could name.
It's a-
we should
Claw
name
one.
it Claus.
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 Claus. Santa Claus. No,
You mean like Jaws, but just
it
claws?
is Claus.
Yes, exactly like that.
You exactly, Proxima. You developed a shellfish allergy. You know what? You know what you should do? Do you have the guts to let chat name it?
No.
I could just
Well, we can veto it. If it's
Chat
like
would-
Bodie McBoatface, then we won't,
I
allow
love
that.
Bodie
It will
McBoatface.
be Boaty McBoatface.
I
It will
love-
be exactly, or Crabby McCrabface. It will
Oh, look at Izzy's Claudia. That's a good one.
See, I'm down for chat vote. I'm down for chat naming it.
What do you think? Do you want to do that? Because that's a good way. Just before we have about 5 minutes before we have to wrap here. So
You could be exploring yourself and you could find like the name engraved on it somewhere, like a plaque.
Ships are female in English, right? So Claudia would work.
Claudia would definitely work.
I don't know why you would veto Bodie McBoatface when I literally have a rat named Squeak Pants.
Because that's not squeak man.
Mr. Squeak Pants, in fairness.
Ew.
That's true. And Fluffball, the
It was
goodest boy.
dog called Fluffball.
So she's learning, she's mean, she's Claudia. She's leaning, she's mean, she's Claudia. Claudia wobbles but doesn't fall down. All right. Assuming that the party is okay with Claudia, then we will take Izzy's suggestion.
I'm down with that.
And
Close
so
encounters.
Sarissa looks at you and says, "Perhaps with these things, the potions and this, there may be some way that we can assist you there. Also, we can teleport you to where you wish to go on the coast, and along with this, of course. And if you wish to go to some coastal city, then you could take your search from there. In the meantime, I'm going to do what I can to find Imrith and to deal with my sisters."
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sarissa. We appreciate it. We think, from what we know so far, I would propose. I'm looking at the party, and I don't have the map of the Sword Coast anymore. Where was it?
Sword Coast map. Yeah?
Near, from Luskin to Waterdeep, so maybe we should go
Yeah.
towards Waterdeep. What do you think, party?
I think Waterdeep, because then we can probably find somewhere quiet enough to call Zephyros.
Probably
Yeah.
best. I don't think coming ashore in this baby in the middle of Waterdeep Harbour would go over well with the locals.
Probably not.
Thought you might get the wrong reaction.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're
Really leaning into that one, aren't you?
maybe south of Waterdeep.
So can the giants teleport us anywhere we want, or just to a city?
Well, they can. They're not limited apparently by just the teleportation, like the concha teleportation which you have. They should be able to teleport you to most of the area on the Sword Coast. They theoretically could transfer you into the water, but obviously that's probably not a
Better
good idea.
We go to Leylon, because the thing where the debris was sighted was more or less in front of Leylon. So maybe we could go to Leylon. Also, it says Mere of Dead Men, so I feel like this is suspicious anyway.
Ah. A previous campaign was familiar with the Mayor of Dead Men, in fact. Yes, you could certainly do that if you wish.
What
That
do you
sounds like
think?
a good count. That sounds like a
Leylon?
good idea. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It's probably going to be quiet enough where we can find somewhere outside to call Zephyros, and there's probably going to be enough rumors floating around that we can then follow it on from there.
Yeah, because it's at the high road, so they should have information from
Should be a
As
lot of
we-
travelers.
from Neverwinter as well as Waterdeep. So we're like in the middle there, and we're close to where the debris was sighted. So maybe there.
Nothing travels faster than bad news. So if
Wh-
something bad has happened to some ships, we're bound to find out from either city.
I don't know. We have got a teleporter.
Well, all right. Nothing naturally travels faster than bad news.
All right.
Not teleportation or magic or an emotion to Claudia. That whatever that is.
To be fair, we don't know how fast she moves. And I can't wait to
Couldn't
find
move,
out.
man. Couldn't move, man. It's made of metal. Just
I wonder if Fluffball wants to go in there.
don't like it.
It's true. Fluffball's attitude, in general, has been sort of a... So, you get the impression that Fluffball would probably, go in there if you wanted. Probably making what looks like judgment on you as he does so, but, So, assuming that you're ready to do that, so the party is going to teleport, I believe?
Near Leylon, everybody okay with this?
Yeah, can't think of a reason to stay right now.
All right. Then as Sarissa looks to her mother, Queen Neri nods and turns and prepares to swirl her hands over the water, but says just before she does so, "Thank you again for bringing me back and for helping us in this time. It is as I have always believed. The little people have as much care for others as we do. May that knowledge protect us all against whatever awaits." And as she swirls her hand and the water begins to swirl, we cut outside to see in the distance, flying away over the waves to the land, a enormous blue dragon. And that is where we are going to bring the session to a close. Great stuff, folks. You got the apparatus of Quailish. I'm so excited. I'm so excited
hyped
that you
about
have a
it. That's
lobster
amazing.
submarine thing. And I didn't make it up either. Like, it's right there. I was like, yes, you get to have this thing. It's freaking
I
sweet.
love that sort of thing, so
Yep.
I'm so happy.
It's going to be great. I'm super excited. I was just thinking about the Abyss, and I'm just like, yep, there we go. So this was great stuff. We need to wrap, of course, because Aaron is going to be on his way. So I will start with the gentleman. I was looking at Mike, but I'm not wanting to go starting with Mike because the bottom of the column is no gentlemen's at all. It's two of the female persuasion. Starting with Tasty Chai. Chai, this was great. I was glad that your daughter gave you a nap. Or gave, and by that I mean she took a nap so that you were able to focus, as you said. That was awesome. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Well, today was awesome because it was the first time in a long time I've been able to play.
Yeah.
Actually play uninterrupted. That was great. Thank goodness for husbands who can put babies to sleep. As for when people will see me next, I will be streaming over on my personal channel, hopefully tomorrow if the baby sleeps. As for when I will be on GOG next, that would be Saturday, hopefully. playing something. I don't know. Might be continuing Horizon Zero Dawn, because that's what I've been playing on my personal channel, and the GOG version is out, and it's very exciting.
Very awesome. I'm glad about all of that, and that's cool. Yeah, I was in there watching you play a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn before, so awesome stuff. Thank you, Chai. As always, a pleasure. Thank you, baby, for taking a nap. Moving right out of the line, Mike, is always a pleasure as well. We had a little bit of the power issues, but we managed to work through those, and everything was fine. And yeah, you know, you got to understand a little bit about you being more the voice of reason about let us not burn up the ship, and Greta being like, what's wrong? We just nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. You went against that move, and so you were the voice of reason, you and Celsig as well. How'd you feel about today, and where will the lovely folks find you next?
What a day. What a day when the half-orc barbarian devout follower of Tempest is the voice of reason.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has to take their turn at that, I guess.
Yeah, everyone just like looks at Urash says, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't do that," and everyone's like, "Oh, maybe that is a bad idea then."
Yep.
Maybe if Urash says we probably shouldn't do it, maybe it's a little too extreme. Who knows? No, I had an absolute blast today. Apologies again for being late, and also weird technical issues. But it turns out I can take 47 5-year-olds in a fight, just so everyone knows.
Okay, good.
Totally not true. I've taken far more 5-year-olds in a fight before that point. But yeah, if you want to find out more about myself, I'm on the social medias, because I'm a social media expert now, at Peripheral Mike. I do a lot of tech-based stuff. I'm a little quiet at the moment because work is really busy, both company work and personal work, and obviously renovating a house, hence the green screen. But yeah, I cannot wait to play. I cannot wait to play again. I'm really excited for it.
And it's only a week away this time, so you'll have a chance to play much faster. So that's going to be good stuff. So Claudia will definitely give them some leverage in the coming engagement. I'm sure she'll come through for them in a pinch. Well done. Well done. Very, very nice. Very nice. You clawed your way into relevance with that joke, and I think everything went well, and you're not crabby, so that was great. But no, good stuff, Mike. Thank you. Always a pleasure, and also always a pleasure to have Dark Saber 2K with us. First of all, thank you again, Saber, for handling Dashboard and Boob at the beginning, and thank you for being as excited as I am about this submarine. Basically, being like, it's a lobster submarine. What is wrong with it? It's nothing. There's nothing wrong at all. Yeah, and it was interesting seeing everybody, I think, as an ensemble, figure out about like, so we got to go find a ship. And it's in the middle of nowhere, and there's maybe a kraken, and oh god, like, you know, you're like, well, all right. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely people find you next?
I would say it's pretty much Claudia has overshadowed everything, but it was a lot of fun today. As I say, this was one of those planning phases.
Yeah.
And then I think next week we'll be putting the plan into action, and we'll see if Claudia can withstand the pressure or crush all opposition.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Very good stuff. You'll have to go on a hunt for a red item. Oh.
Yes. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming some Turok 2 because it's on sale this week. And I'll be back on my own channel on Thursday with a game because I'm between games at the moment.
Good stuff. I look forward to seeing that game, whatever that happens to be. But always a pleasure. Thank you, Saber. And last but certainly not least, also always a pleasure to have Pyron Jade with us. And Pyron, I did think it was funny that you're like, why wouldn't you want to blow up the ship? That whole thing with Greta was cracking me up about like, everyone's like, no, don't blow up the ship. River being like, you realize it's made of wood. Look, you know, meaningful look at Pyron, at Greta. But I was interested to see all of that. What do you think about today? Where would the fine people see you next?
I love today, as I always love all of these sessions. And most likely people are going to see me again next Tuesday in this slot, playing D&D with you people. And apart from that, people are not going to see me a lot because, you know, next week Cyberpunk. And there's a lot of things to prepare. So, yeah, but next Tuesday I'll be here.
Awesome. I am excited for that. And yes, something cyber something is coming out soon, I hear. There's a rumor that's going to be important. But also, lastly, I just want to mention, again, thank you to the wonderful party for agreeing to do, not that. Damn it, where's my thing? Today I have not been on point with my window capture game. I think it was there. No, did I use it all up already? Yeah, there we go. It was this and this. Which is Talisman, which has been minimized. There we go. Talisman, that is going to be on the channel In January, we're going to be doing the premiere of this, of a little mini campaign. And the first session of at least will be on GOG, and it will be featuring these 4 wonderful players you see below you. Again, sponsored by Pegasus Spiele, which will be giving away some of the couple of the rule books of this core rule book that you see before you. And thanks to our lovely folks at GOG here, who will be allowing us to do this on the channel. So it's going to be very exciting. You'll see some of that, and it's going to be awesome. So it has been sponsored by Pegasus, and I'm very excited that GOG is going to be a part of this, and I get to have my GOG family along with me for this this ride. So that'll be awesome too. But that's it for now. I got to get out of here. Thank you so much to the wonderful players as always. Check and we get some love for Pyron Jade, for Darksaber 2K, for Peripheral Mike, and for Tasty Chai for all of the everythings. And folks, I will see you folks 1 week from today. Bye for now, all. And that is going to do it for today. I really enjoyed this a lot. What a shock. Favorite game, you know, one of my favorite groups of people. I love all of it. It's all great. And I hope you folks enjoyed it as much as I did. And if so, I hope you will consider following us here on GOG. And I hope you will consider supporting us on GOG by subscribing to the channel and by clicking through to our individual channels as well, where we have stuff going on like other campaigns and the like. I saw a few people jumped on board with my personal channel in addition to supporting GOG as a whole. And thank you for all that, because you folks are all great and awesome. And I am most appreciative to all of you for doing that. But that's going to do it for me. I will be back on my channel tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, when Community D&D will be joining the fray. Thank you very much, Toxic Shade. Thank you. So I will be back there on my own channel, and I'll be right back here next Tuesday with more of this, with D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. But right now you should hang out, because next up is Pantsless Aaron, who is going to be playing, I think, Deadly Premonition. So apparently managed to get it enough that the game has not, you know, been unpatched and therefore incapable of being played. I gather that it's still, you know, capable of being played. The memory leak has been solved for at least a few seconds. But yes, you should definitely watch that and watch Pantsless Iron play it. And otherwise, I'll see all of you lovely folks either on my channel or back here next Tuesday. Until then, thanks so much, everybody. Much love to all, and a special thanks to my players. And I'll see all of you wonderful folks soon. Stick around for Pantsless Iron. Bye for now.